it takes the grace of God for anything to be upturned at that point.
Yeah.
So I, as a mother, I did a lot of sacrifice. You know, I didn't go to work. I didn't do all of those things because I wanted to be involved in raising my children. So when I see them going out now, I actually am comfortable because
like saying, look at my investment.
Yes, because they so I'm not hearing bad reports. They're not coming back with a lot of you know. So it means that yes, to some extent, I need to pat myself in the back that you know.
If I do say so
myself,
congratulations.
I try.
Congratulations.
All right. So what did you find for us in the news, Manny?
Okay. Lagos teacher flogs pupil over homework. Victim vomits and dies. A junior secondary school to pupil of Simple Faith Schools, Agbara, Lagos State, Emmanuel Amidu, has died at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Surulere. The victim's father, Akinola Amidu, claimed that the 12-year-old was flogged by a teacher when he went to school on Thursday, May 12th, 2022. He said that his son started vomiting shortly after beating and was rushed to a hospital where he gave up the ghost. The distraught father alleged that the school management was covering up his son's death and protecting the mathematics teacher, one Mr. Stephen, who allegedly flogged Emmanuel for not completing his assignment. He said, I was at home that Thursday because I was on leave. I recall that Emmanuel asked me for money to buy a new exercise book, and I gave him 500 naira to buy the book and gave the remaining change to his sisters. Later that day, I was called by the management of the school that Emmanuel was vomiting. Meanwhile, this was a boy who left home without any health issues. I had to go to the hospital and we moved him. I had to go to the school and we moved him immediately to a hospital. I later learned that the whole thing started after their class teacher, Mr. Stephen, beat the whole of his class for not completing their mathematics assignments. Emmanuel was actually using my phone torchlight to do his assignment a day before, but I had to collect the phone from him and his sister because I needed to be in constant contact with my office. It was at Lutz that I lost my son. Meanwhile, the management of the school quickly ran to the Marogbo police station at Agbara. Marogbo police station at Agbara to report that my son died from vomiting. So Akinola, 45, demanded the arrest and prosecution of the teacher, and he urged the state government and the police to give the family justice. So for me, I don't think that these teachers have any right to be flogging students in school. You know, you don't do your homework, it's okay. Why do you need to beat the child? There are different ways you can punish children. Why do you need to flog somebody's child until he dies? I just think it's crazy. It's unacceptable. You understand?
And again, especially because if you look at the story, it says that they flogged the entire class, right? So for one child to die, and the other children rather in the class, they seem fine. It meant that okay, maybe, but you see, that's why they say you do not. You know how they say don't pick a fight on the street because you do not know who is a walking corpse, who is healthy, who is not fit. You know, for that, you know, it might just be a small pat on the chest, and the person
loses his life.
Yes, the person loses their lives. So that's why you do not. You can't ascertain the health status per child. You don't even know if that child maybe had not eaten or had maybe diarrhea.
Exactly.
You don't know anything about the children.
We don't know what was going on with the child.
Yes, health-wise.
But what we know is that the child started
vomiting. So if you say vomiting, you know, is there a case maybe he probably had food poisoning a day before, or he had diarrhea or something? Do you understand? So you as a teacher, you must find creative ways to met out discipline. You know, when it comes to children, you don't have to use.
You kill a child because the child did not do his
homework, right? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what's going on.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. We'll talk more on that when we start the conversation. Mine is just like a feel-good story. I just felt like, you know, as we are women, a female lawmaker floors Tinubu's ally. Why did they have to put Tinubu's ally there? To show that the person was supposed to be powerful, right?
We need to
floors Tinubu's ally, Ribadu, and she wins the Adamawa APC government ticket. You know, so I'm excited about her. A staunch ally of Governor Bola Tinubu, Nuhu Ribadu, has lost the All Progressive Congress governorship. Everybody knows Nuhu Ribadu now. Why can't you just say former whatever? What was he again? Was he what was his position? I can't remember. Well, Adamawa, so her name is Aisha Banani, right? So she would be, this is great news. I love the fact that she's a woman that has, you know, floored this man and she's gotten the ticket for the APC governorship in Adamawa State. Remember, it was this same, was it Adamawa? No, it wasn't Adamawa. That woman, the light-skinned woman that eventually lost her life, God rest her soul, that was running for governorship in, it wasn't Adamawa, I can't remember the state now, but there was a female candidate as well. You know, so I'm happy that a lot of women are getting to
coming
that.
out
Yes.
now,
Yeah. And it seems to be a progressive state. So hopefully, let's see what will happen with whether she eventually wins the ticket. Okay, so we're going to go on a break now. Yeah. Even though I had one interesting story, I thought it was a good news. I heard that Ondo State, Ogun State rather, accounts for 3.2. I need to get an economist to teach us this thing to understand how is it possible.
3 point what?
3.2 trillion of Nigeria's 3.7 trillion production output.
Wow.
I'm telling you, you know, because this shows that the Manufacturers Association
What are
of Nigeria, I think different manufacturings and all of that, produce goods and all of that. So most of the things that are happening in Ogun State. That is a state to look out for. It means that they're in money.
Yeah.
All right, so
that's a good one.
Yeah, well, because really a lot of people that live in Lagos have their businesses in Ogun State, especially when you're going into manufacturing or farming and all of that.
Yeah,
most of the businesses,
cheaper labor, cheaper
everything, cheaper land.
Yeah.
And you know, Lagos doesn't even have land, so it's not even an issue of cheaper. Lagos don't really have lands for those kinds of things. So you see all those industries and all of that, most of them actually have. So it makes sense. All the brewery companies, you know, the Nestle companies, most of them, they're all situated in Ogun State. So it makes absolute sense. But out of Nigeria, 3.2. So what is happening to the other states? They should just shut it down. It means that some states do not deserve to exist. That's the point I keep saying that about this.
Yeah, I think the way we should look at it, it means that they're doing something right. So the other states should just go there and mirror exactly what they're doing. We're not asking them to come up with any new invention.
Before I will take my industry to your state, there has to be security. There has to be a lot of things.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So just go there, study them, and see what it is that they have that is working for them.
Okay.
So that you can just do it.
No, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to be discussing raising emotionally balanced children. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, by no question. He's a living legend. Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
All right, thanks for staying with us now. According to an article on Ashiana, emotional health refers to a person's ability to cope with day-to-day life. It includes the way they feel about themselves and how they respond to whatever happens around them. Among the other decisions of wellness, emotional wellness is not only the hardest to quantify, but it's also the most important. An emotionally balanced person is one who has an awareness of his feelings or her feelings and is able to process them in a healthy manner. So how do you think, right, we can begin to raise a lot more emotionally balanced children, because we need it in this world today, you know, for some level of stability and, you know, to curb a lot of vices that we hear that is happening in the society today. right? So please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at Way Show Africa 1 with the hashtag Way Show. And so, Manny, before Uti comes, I just wanted us to banter on this conversation because, again, when you go on social media, it's so interesting that you open blogs and you hear, oh, this boy killed his girlfriend because she broke off a 10-year relationship. That's the one that I saw of recent, I think yesterday. She broke off a relationship of 10 years. The guy kills his girlfriend, or this girl stabs her man to death because she found him cheating. This one did this one. There's so many things going on. And I just keep wondering that, okay, who raised these people? Who raised these people? Because, again, what is happening is that we are in a world where it seems like everything is in your face, right? I was telling you that my sister shared a video to our sisters group where a young man in the US, I think he's about 13. I'll find out video. He's about 13. Yeah, he's 13. He went to different stores, Manny, and he wanted to purchase different things. So he had gone to a store where they sold alcohol. The lady at the counter said, how old are you again? He said 13. Oh, I'm sorry, do you have an ID? I can't sell to you. He went to a cigarette store. They bounced him off. He went to a store where they were selling all these magazines that has all this pornographic whatever. They bounced him off. He then walks into a gun store, right? This guy picks up a gun. So imagine that that boy has, some level of emotional baggage. I mean, look at the recent shooting that happened in Texas. I think about 19, as at the last time I counted, 19 children died, two teachers died as well. So there is a lot going on. And guess what? People would vent out how they feel on the next person available. That boy that took guns to a school to just go and kill people is coming from somewhere. There has to be something deeply seated in the mind of that child that the child just feels like, you know what, I can't handle it anymore. And that, I think, in my own opinion, must have been an outburst of whatever it was he was
inside,
feeling.
yeah.
So not many people have the capacity to be able to get a gun. A lot of people are doing so many things. Some children throw a lot of tantrums. They are so rebellious. They begin to take up drugs. They take up alcohol. They take up all sorts of vices just because they cannot let out whatever it is that they're feeling emotionally. So how do we even start this conversation? Because we need that balance. Even if we didn't think we did before, now more than ever before, with the advent of the internet, social media, and so many things that our children are exposed to that they see, we need to have a balanced human being, right? And we need to start from when they are little. So where do we even start this conversation from?
So for me, I just think that sensitivity and emotional understanding, they are now very key issues for us in raising our children. For example, the guy you just talked about that went into the school and killed everybody, or killed his students and teachers, you know the reason he did what he did. They've investigated the whole thing, and they found out that he's from a poor home, and they had been laughing at him because he wears, very bad looking clothes to school. He smells or whatever, and he had to endure all this throughout his childhood.
The bully.
Yes, he was emotionally bullied. So at the end of the day, he goes to get a gun and he comes to kill so many people. So for me, I don't think the problem is the fact that he was bullied. Bullying is bad and everything. But if we leave it at that, then we are only holding the schools responsible, for what the children go through. The role of the parent also comes to play when we talk about training these children and teaching them about how to deal with their emotions, how to deal with sensitive issues. Before the show started, I was telling you about my son, how I train my children sometimes by just saying no. When you say yes all the time to your children, when they go outside and they hear no, it becomes a big deal, and then they don't know how to deal with it. So for parents who are always saying yes to everything that the children want, that's a very big problem. Then tomorrow they go outside and their wives say no to them, and you wonder why they beat their wives. You understand? So I think that we should deal with these things at home. the way we grew up in Nigeria, I don't know if that's what's happening right now. You have an issue, your parents beat you, nobody listens to you. Nobody thinks you have anything to say. You've done wrong, and that's the end of everything. But if we learn how to engage our children in a way that even when you punish them, you call them back and still try to
tell them the why.
Listen first. So even before telling them why did you do what you did? They explain to you in their own way, in their own words. Then you explain to them what they did wrong, how they should have done it better, and why you had to beat them. So when you have
Take
this
them
talk,
through that
exactly,
process.
so they understand. They don't think that you're just beating them for nothing. They have emotions. My children quarrel amongst themselves. You come and help them settle their issues by teaching them how to, settle disputes. So something as little as that, settling disputes, can go a very long way, because we see now that people, in not knowing how to handle disputes, they go fighting, they go beating their wives and doing all sorts. So I think it's an important thing that we must do here. We must inculcate that in our training as parents. So
talking about saying no to children. So for the longest of time, because I have somewhat fairly two different children in terms of their personality type. My oldest is the very emotional one. He reads and all of that. The other one, he can be emotional, but he's a lot more playful, so he can easily let go. Yeah. So the older one is probably just like me, that would sit down, introspect, why did this happen and all of that. So because I understood who I was dealing with, it was a unique approach to each of the children. I didn't say a one-size-fits-all. And that's why I tell people, do not have too many children. Because you see the truth, yes. When I see people having 5 children, 6 children, I'm wondering, how do you want to pay attention? Do you know raising one human being
is hard enough?
It's a lot of work, because you see, if we understood the assignment when it came to parenting, or as it relates to parenting, we will not be very trivial about it, because you have a lot of broken homes, a lot of broken people, a lot of dysfunctional adults, because there was just too many. So nobody paid attention to the unique need of those people when they were children, right? Yeah. So we are having a lot of dysfunctionality in the society today. People are killing people, because for the life of me, I've never understood why I am angry with you, and I think the next thing to do is to pick up a knife and go and stab you. I've never fought in my life. Do you understand? I think I want to believe that my parents did a good job. You understand? Because at least even we didn't have so much, but my father could sit down, have conversations with us, and all of that. My mother would shout and do all those things, but she would still come back and say, but I love you now, and all of that. But you see, now that we are a lot more aware, we have to be, why are we not doing, because again, what is even most painful, Manny, is that the age where we're in, technology has made life easy. Our parents did the best they could with what they knew. They had little information. Now, it's a global village. There's a lot you can learn about even the psychology of a human being. So you know how to treat a human being. So why are we getting it's even now that it's even getting a lot more worse. Is it that people are not even concerned about what the future would look like? Because for me, when I sit down and I see the crop of people coming up, I'm wondering, like, God, who are raising these people? You hear so many things about battery, about different things. People are just doing anything that they like, You are wondering, please, who raised these people? So I'm just wondering, how do we start? Because emotional balance is, emotions are not something that are tangible. If I come now and I give you a dirty slap, you can feel the pain, Manny, and it's gone, right? But if I come and I plant a seed of bitterness or something that speaks to your inner person, your inner subconscious,
then it starts
that thing can live with you for the rest of your life.
You're right.
So emotional pain has never been and will never be able to, you can never quantify what emotional damage means to any human being. So that's why we must understand that delicate nature of the emotion and find a way to start raising a lot more balanced children.
Yeah, I think parents are also very guilty when we come to this emotional balance by comparing their children and criticizing them too much, criticizing them. So you see, growing up, there's something, I know my mom is watching now, there's something my mom used to say. I had this cousin. My cousin was very intelligent. So my mom would compare me to this cousin. We're in the same age bracket. I think he's older than me with about a year. My mom would call his name and say, he's gifted, he's a smart child. He's very intelligent, you know. I would never look at me at my age. I still remember very clearly. In fact, I can see my mom's face saying it. You know, so we are so guilty of these things. We do this to our children. We compare them to everybody around them. Then they start feeling like they're not good enough. So when you have children who are feeling like, I'm not good enough, I'm never good enough, then exactly, then how are they going to deal with all these emotions inside them? Sometimes they become very bitter. And you know, bitterness is like a poison. It goes inside and it poisons them. The guy that killed these children like 3 days ago, it was the bitterness inside of him that came out. It was poison. So we have to be very careful with comparisons and criticism. We have to be very, very careful. They are very dangerous tools in the hands of parents. So that is one way we can start to balance our children's emotions, because guess what? They're children. They don't know what to do with all the hurt. They don't know what to do with all the pain. Then these people grow up and you start telling them, why did you hit the other person? They didn't know what to do with it when they were younger. How are they going to know what to do now that they are older? You know, so everything is still inside them. Abroad, they always go to their therapists. We're Africans, and for the longest of time, we thought we didn't need therapists.
Until recent times.
But
you know when you talked about the outlet for children, why it is a lot more dangerous now. You know, we didn't have video games. What do you call them? Street Fighter and the ones that they are shooting, Fortune, whatever. You know, because most of the games, go and look at most of the games that the PlayStations are bringing out. A lot of them are violence-based.
Thank you.
They're shooting, you know, and all of that. So even though we had the bitterness, there was nowhere. You just go to the toilet and go and put it out.
Or you go outside and run around with your neighbors.
Yes, and it will go, right? So now, they are there, and the child is looking, and the child is playing this video game, and he's seeing how he's shooting all the people that are like supposed threats,
enemies
to him. You understand? And he goes, okay, I think I can do this thing in reality.
Yeah. And then he goes to the store
and gets a gun. You know, so I am just thinking that, because you know, there were some things our parents got away with. We do not have that luxury to get away with it. You understand? Everything about parenting must be deliberate. You cannot say with your mouth, go and do this as a parent, and you are not doing it and expect the child to do it. It's impossible. You must lead by example. If you want a child that is disciplined, if you want a child that is, you know, upright, that is straightforward and all of that, you must be that example that the child is seeing. If not, you are just it's just a matter of time. You know, the child will just wait it out until the child has the capacity, you know, to fully express. I'm talking about expression. Remember the Chrisland story, because this thing is broad. You know, it's broad. You know, when that Chrisland story of that girl broke, it just reminded me of a girl, because whilst I was actively involved with NGO work, volunteering, I used to volunteer a lot to different NGOs, you know. So there was a particular NGO I really loved volunteering with, because they go to schools to talk to girls. As we talk to them about sexual abuse, their sexuality. We talk to them, we train them on the power of choice, how to say no, the power of the vision, how to, you know, set goals for yourself and achieve them, personal hygiene, and all the works we teach them. You know, in the course of that encounter, there was a girl that we met. That girl had gotten to that point of emotional instability that all she thought she could use to express how pained she was to just sleep with anything she sees. So she sleeps driver, she's anybody, as long as you are available. And guess how old this girl was? She was only 12 years old. And she was heavily sexually active. So when I saw that video of the Chrisland girl, right, it just brought back memories. So because sometimes you would say, this child is too stubborn, you are in rebellion. The child is only trying so hard to express an emotion that they cannot put words to, right? So the child now goes back, and the child is thinking, how do I get the attention? Because that girl was only seeking the attention of the parents. They were always busy. Next thing, oh, you need something, they'll give you money, they'll do this. But they were not physically present for her as a child. You know, they were just, she could get anything. She had a driver to herself. She had all the things. But they were not available to her. So that girl, all she could find as a way to express that, you know, that, what's it called, was to just sleep with anything. Anything that would just get her mind off of it. And these are the things that you see that eventually evolves into adulthood, where you see the child cannot express.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, if we're looking at how we can start to strike that balance and raise a lot more emotionally balanced human beings, right? Communication.
Yeah.
So with my children, even when they are emotional, they are crying, there's tears coming out of the eye, I will wait, let the tears go. I'll say, okay, hey, put words to what you were trying to say.
I say that to my children.
Because you must learn how to express.
Yeah.
This is how I feel. This is how it made me feel. So even when certain things I do wrong, even as a parent, I say to them, I said, do you know why this happened? I try to explain to them, well, this has happened, and this is why it happened. How does it make you feel? Even my own actions as a parent, right? I try to find out from them, how does it make them feel? So I understand where they are emotionally. I might not be perfect, but you see, raising children is a journey, right? You will keep on fine-tuning and fine-tuning and fine-tuning until you get to that point where, you know, the child...
Everything starts working.
Yes.
And even if you've made the mistake of, you know, trying to dumb them down by not allowing them express their emotions, you can correct it. Because nowadays we have all this information available to us. You know, there are too many talk shows right now talking about things like this, teaching us how to parent better. So growing up, some of us were beaten, you know. I hear some people say, I don't beat my children nowadays. I don't know about them, but we were beaten. So you now find out that you now have your own children. You make the mistake of trying to beat them as well. But midway, you realize that this is not working because the child gets even tougher, you know, then you just learn the right way. So I think that for people that have missed it somehow, there's still a way that you can get back on track. Yeah, just learn, teach, like you said, teach the children how to communicate. They have to learn how to communicate. And when they're trying to bring it out, don't dumb them down. Let them say it the way they're feeling it.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, this beating that you're talking about, you see, beating had a way of resetting the brains of some of us when we were growing up. So I remember there was a time when my older sister was made to do something that was wrong, and she stole. Let me just put it in plain English. The beating that I saw my mother beat her, it corrected my brain. I didn't wait because the interesting thing was that it was not only her that stole. It was both of us that stole, but she was the scapegoat that my mother used, you know, and my mother gave her the spanking of her life. That after that day, everything there was auto brain reset. But you see the thing again, like I said, those things could work, you know, because then we didn't have options. Was there television? There was nothing.
I don't think they will work in this time.
You get that kind of this thing. Then you now go on social media, you see a child calling 911 on their parents. You say, okay,
I know my rights.
I know my rights. You know, so you didn't understand. So that's why I really, really feel sad for us as parents in this age of technology. But you see, it can be to your favor, right? It can be to your favor. And because for me, what I do, I look for teachable moments, you know, where I look forward to things happening, then I now capitalize on that, you know, and use it like the quote was talking about. You look for that moment and use it to set something in the mind of that child. But let's take a break. When we come back from the break, we will take your comments, then we'll continue the conversation. Hopefully Uti would have joined us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
All right, thanks for staying with us, sir. If you just tuned in, we're discussing raising emotionally balanced children in today's world, especially because it's Children's Day. So let's find something interesting to discuss around the children. And please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa1 with the hashtag Wayshow. So, I mean, a few things that I would like to just discuss when we're talking about this thing is the attitude towards failure. Or what defining what failure means. So I remember that, at some point, my son is always like, oh, this high flyer, blah, blah, blah. So at some point in his school, he came second. And so for me, because I was so used to him coming first, I was so grateful to God that he came second. You know why? I watched his demeanor. I studied him because you know how what you said about always saying yes, 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 and eventually you now say no to the child is going like he doesn't understand. So for me, what I was very grateful for was that when he came that second, the way he took it, and I says, oh, mommy, he was a good sport. And I said, oh, don't worry, next time I'll just come back to where I was before. I just allowed him and all of that, blah, blah, blah. He's my friend, so I'm happy for him. He took it in good faith. I was saying, because this is someone that I know that is extremely emotional. He will cry, he will do all of those things. But when that thing happened, so I took that time out to teach him a lot of things. I told him, I said, Alpha, you see how conversations around dropping the ball, you can be a fantastic person. You can be doing good 364 days in the year. And you can decide to say you want to just look away at the 365th day. You do something and it will end you in jail. So for me, every opportunity is an opportunity to just teach. I take those moments and I say, you know what? This. But I'm happy that you're taking it in good faith. So what are you supposed to do after this? Go back, go and look at. So I teach them how to backtrack. Where did I miss it? What was I doing? How did I lose track of what it is, what it was I was doing, and all of those things. Then you now set a goal for yourself, set a clear vision for yourself. Okay, this is my target, this is my goal. How do I get there? Right? So for me, for every opportunity that those things present themselves, I do not miss it as a parent. I would always sit them down and explain. Some things happened, of course, when they became a teenager, this love wanting thing, you're beginning to catch feelings in school and all of that. Some things then happened and, he was faced disciplinary and all of that. I sat him down and I told him, I said, see, in some climes, because he was not upset that, mommy, in our school, if you put your hand over the girl's shoulder, that, they've said all those things should stop, you should not try it again. I said, Alpha, you should be grateful to God that they are telling you now at a young age. I told him, I said, the way the world is going, in some climes, when you do that, it will be considered sexual harassment. So people have gone to jail and they spent years in jail for those acts because the girl can just accuse you and say you harassed her. And because, do you understand? So you should be grateful to God that these things are happening and you are learning by the process. So imagine if at every point in time, you study the emotion of the child, you nip it, because it is conversations that helps shape the thinking and the minds of the children. Words are very powerful, right? Words are the ones that form emotions. And that's why people would always come out to say, do words of affirmation, always tell yourself, or look in the mirror and say you're beautiful. All those things are speaking to your person, to your emotion, creating a balance for you on the inside. So that when you go out and you probably hear negative words, it is very easy for you to counter them. Right? So when I see those opportunities, I never miss it. Because now more than ever before, it is very paramount that, children are raised differently. Because these children are exposed to too many things that is too early for their age to be exposed to. You know?
I think in recent time, there's been a drastic rise in cases of anxiety and depression.
Absolutely.
Yes, and this we see from survey that is being caused by, peer pressure. Then we have the social media influence. I want us to quickly look at this social media influence. We're talking about children. What do you think about access to social media? What age do you think is the right age for the children to, to be thrown into this world?
That's a tough question because I really don't understand how. So for me, I think it's two things. So because there's a balance, we must strike a balance. If you have a talented child, a really gifted child. So for instance, maybe the child is musically inclined or maybe drama or dance or something, right? We know that right now the platform to showcase that child would be through social media because it is easy for the child to quickly go viral. Once see all the Markangel, all the comedians, all the young, this Kirikuru, how do they pronounce his name? I can't pronounce his name. Kiriku or whatever. Most of these people are all on social media because, and again, they're making a lot of money from the influencer work and promoting and marketing and all that because somebody said, I can see a talent in this and I'm putting them all out. But I would say, right, the child can be on social media and not be on social media. In the sense that, if the child is dancing, talented, you can do the video. Upload it. The child doesn't have to be the one to see the page, how many views, all the comments and all of that. You can actually do that. Because if you feel strong enough that the child is actually gifted, there's no harm in trying to promote that child's gift and talent. Right? Yes. The biggest child of all that was put out there in the world till tomorrow, till he died, he never recovered from that exposure. Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
He never now that even brings it home well to understand what emotional instability can do to the life of any. So no matter how old they become, they can be in their 80s, but you just see a 2-year-old in an 80-year-old man's body. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That was what would have happened to someone like a Michael Jackson.
And that's what's happening to many of these children now. You see, what COVID did to us was that everybody had to stay home. We were at home, and the children had to go to school, even when there was this lockdown. So they were introduced to the world of phones,
online,
gadgets,
yes,
social media, So it now became very tough to take these things, away from them when school resumed physically. So for me, I think it's been a very tough one. Even if I watch my children, I'm a very present parent. That's what I always say. I'm always there. I know everything that is going on. But I think that the social media is too dangerous a place, to leave children who are not properly armed yet to dance in that world or delve into that world. So if you would ask me, I would say a child has to be 16 before they even have phones or what.
No, but if the child is talented, Manny, are you trying to say that you cannot put the child there and you be the handler of that page?
Yes, I think you can do that. There's a time and a place for everything. So the talent, yes, no problem. Promote the talent, but they can spend more time practicing. You understand? Instead of trying to showcase too quickly. Remember, when you showcase too quickly, that's when they start having this emotional stability. Let me tell you something. What so many people are suffering right now, so many adults, I'm not talking about children or young adults, I'm talking about full-grown adults like you and I, is this issue of like. How many people like my page? How many
validation.
Validation. So this is happening within adults or amongst adults. How much more the children? You're talking about having talent and putting it online. The children want to know how many people are also watching them. Mommy, please, can I see how many likes?
How many views?
I think that they're too young to be put, on the front line. They are too young to hold the shield. There's this frontal lobe that they have. In children, it's not fully developed till they're actually 25. Yes, till they're 25. That's why they need their parents. So arming them with social media, I think, is very dangerous, and is one of the problems that they're having right now. It's the most, what would I say, is the cause of this anxiety and depression amongst young children. Because they are looking into other people's houses. They are looking into other people's lives. They see that they are living better than themselves. They are depressed. They are angry. They are jealous. They are envious. So I don't know. I just think that this whole new social media world is one of the
this thing you said, Manny, I know, I'm just looking at it that, so parents that a newborn you just, as if they come off for belay, don't they do selfie, they post the pictures, you know, do you understand?
Yeah.
So
They open
already,
pages
you already,
for them.
yes, you've
Yeah,
opened
you've
the
already
child
thrown the child
out there.
in the battlefield. I think it's crazy. Some parents
But
are
you see,
crazy as well.
okay, but why are we all seeking validation? Is it not coming from the dysfunctionality that we're talking about?
It is. It's a ripple effect.
Do you understand?
Everything is just we're rigmaroling.
But how are we going to solve this problem? Because we need to find solution. Because again, why I'm saying this is that already we have a lot of dysfunctional adults. A lot of us, we are just, you know, time bomb walking. We are already dysfunctional. And there is no way, if you are not emotionally balanced, you'll be able to raise an emotionally balanced child.
Yeah.
So how do we start to find a balance? How do we find a solution to this problem?
I think some things we would have to take back to the basics. Some things, not everything, because even our parents didn't get everything right. So we take some things back to the basics.
Yeah.
Then some things we'll learn with the access to information that we have nowadays. We know what is right, we know what is wrong. We can learn from a lot of all these motivational speakers, conferences, seminars that they have about raising children and good parenting. We learn and then we start to put them to practice. And then we ourselves must be the teachers. You know, so when you wait and think that the teachers in school are supposed to help you raise your child, that's another problem waiting to happen. So you as a parent, you must be present. And in this age where we have a lot of single parents, that's another cause of the problems that we're seeing in our society. Because the father has his role to play, the mother has her role to play. So now you see one parent trying to play
both roles.
And it can become a problem when things become too much to handle.
No, but Manny, you are touching a soft point there, because now, when you say single parents, I'm wondering if the relationship is not working, right, and there are kids involved, do you then stay in that marriage? I mean, today I heard the most horrific story ever of someone that I held there.
Yeah.
How, you know, she was going through a lot of battery in her home. You know, I am almost like 100% sure that it is the death of Osinachi that would have probably made her to take the decision of walking away from that toxic relationship, the toxic marriage, right? These are things that are reality. And this is a dysfunctionality because it has already eaten really deep. So do you then say that, oh, because you want to raise a balanced child, the child will still see it? Because whether you like it or not, we are being programmed. And our programming is not really based on, it is all the happenings around. Everything shapes who we eventually become, right? So it has to be a very deliberate thing to say, you know what, I have to do better. You know, even as a parent, as a spouse or whatever, I have to do better. My family has to, you know, be liberated from this circle, because it's almost like a circle, right? Yes, once this happened, it will repeat itself.
Yeah.
And that's why you hear some people say, my father beat my mother, she didn't die, you know, and all of that. Those are the things you hear. Or my mother did this, my father didn't die. You know, those kind of things, these are the things you hear.
Yeah.
And now it has eaten really deep. So if you don't say single parents, you know, you really can't blame them. Again, some of them have seen that there is no future in this conversation with this man or with this woman. So I'd rather be single and just take care of my children, right? So how do we solve the problem?
So see, this is how I see it, Uwa. A couple get to a point where they think that they need to go their separate ways, no problem, for different reasons. But at the end of the day, it still boils down to their behavioral patterns, which also makes them victims of their upbringing. So if you see, we're going around in circles. These different parents, they are lacking something, you understand, that is making them act in a way that would not allow the marriage to continue. So that's why I say right now, we just need to, you know, get inside and train these children very well. If not, what we are seeing right now that looks like an epidemic is going to continue
It's
for
going to be even worse.
generations. So we have to just take it right now and nip it in the bud, because it's getting worse. Most of the time, the people, the parents in the marriage are also victims. You understand? So we see them as victims. But what do we do to solve this problem is to start
Because even
to
they
train,
can't even give what they don't
yeah,
have.
start to train the boy child as well as the girl child, not just the girl child. You know, so I think that we have a lot of work to do here with these children. Otherwise, we just keep recycling our problems.
Absolutely. So let's take some comments, Manny. You have some. Good evening, ladies. Thank you, Uwa and Manny. I have learned so much from the show. One thing that I must start doing now is looking for teachable moments. Oh, nice. Yuri from Gombe. Thank you so much, Yuri.
I don't think I have internet to
Oh,
access
okay.
mine. Can I read
Oh,
it?
really? Okay, so let me read yours. Hi, guys. Two-way communication will really be helpful in living this life, whether in childhood or adulthood. That's from Chisom. Then, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? Ways, as Daniel Ilo, you already know. Raising emotionally balanced children in today's world is very important and should not be taken for granted. Parenting is also vital in raising emotionally balanced children. What children do at a tender age will shock you and you will marvel. Now, the earlier our children are brought up well, the better for us and the society. Secondly, the teacher that flogged the child for not doing the homework, which led to the child vomiting and eventually death, for crying out loud, who does that? My own take and verdict is that the teacher should have a taste of his own medicine or dealt with squarely. The teacher must not go scot-free. For God's sake, this is highly unacceptable. My dear beautiful sister Manny Money, nice to have you back. Still looking beautiful. My name is Daniel Ilo. Thank you so much, Daniel Ilo.
Thank you, Daniel.
Oh, wow. You know, these kind of conversations are very sober, but it's something that you must pay attention to. I've said that I've said it several times that the headache that I do not have today with my children is because of the whatever it is that I instilled while they were young, right? I'm not perfect, you know, their father is not perfect, but we're trying so hard as, you know, a family to make sure that we're able to, the things that they're not able to achieve, we're instilling in them, right? We're putting in the right values. But you see, there's so little that can do. Just imagine, picture for instance, that we all say as adults, can we make some sacrifices, make some compromises, and get to that point where we say, even though I really want to do this thing, but because of the impact it's going to have on the generation that is coming ahead of me,
you hold back.
I would keep it. Do you know how much better the world will be?
Yeah.
Just picture that we're able to say, let's set aside all the cravings, all the things that we want to do, we want to go crazy, we want to do mad things and all of that, and we just say, you know what, let's keep it aside. We don't want to, let's take out corruption, let's take out all of these things, right? And let's start to live a life of integrity. Let's show these children a better example for the society and all of that. What do you think would happen in the next 10, 15 years? The kinds of people that we're going to turn out as and have as citizens.
I think it's possible only if you make, you know, a decision, an intentional decision to continue doing this, and also to continue learning new ways to be, you know, like a well-rounded parent. And then to unlearn the things that you have learned, you know, while growing up from our parents who also didn't know everything. You know, we must have that ability to unlearn, relearn, you understand? Then we can give our children the best.
Yeah.
And prepare them for the future, because I don't know how their future will be if things are the way they are right now.
Many years ago, I think in 2017, I did a training on neuro-linguistics programming, or was it 2015, right? You see that word unlearn. That's the biggest thing you can ever do to yourself. You know, sometimes
it's
you
very
feel like,
difficult.
yes, your life is cast in stone. This is what I know. I know it. I know it. But when you begin to unlearn certain habits, you begin to unlearn certain beliefs that you have about people, just unlearn for a minute. Then go and learn, then relearn.
Yeah.
You know, those words are very powerful because guess what? It gives you room to have an expanded mind beyond your immediate, this is what I know. So when you go into the class, the first thing they will tell you, my coach will tell you, say, anything you think you know, you have an MBA, you have a master's, you have a PhD, he will tell you that cap that you are wearing on your head, can you please remove it and drop it on the ground? He says after the training, if you decide to pick it up and wear it, it's fine. But while you are in class, you have to take off that hat of, I know it all. Do you understand? And guess what? It delivered a lot of people. You know, this one is not church deliverance. A lot of people got delivered from subconscious, what's it called, programs that have been programmed for years. And it did a lot of work, you know, changing and resetting the minds of people.
Or even the Bible says that through knowledge shall the just be delivered. So there you have it.
Absolutely. So let's take some comments. On YouTube, it says, you are preaching today. Oh, it's serious matter. When you want to see our preaching side, just touch our children. Keep it up. I could hear you all day, Uwa, because you are making so much sense. You have given us hope in today's world. Welcome to the metaverse. I think it is good to train the kids to know how to live without technology so they can have enough sense, right, to see the fake life online. That's true. ASD, I don't know what your real name is on YouTube. And I think we have a final comment. Ladies, remember that the parents of the dead wife is always the loser. Walk away from toxic marriages. And that's true. That's true. That's so true. Because, you know, the person that is dead, you know, it is the parents that would bear the brunt, they will suffer it and all of that. So it's important. But thank you so much, Manny. I think we've had a fantastic conversation. If you had one thing to say to any parent out there, you know, as regards raising an emotionally balanced child, what would you say?
Be present.
That's true.
Be present. Know exactly what they are doing. Don't leave them to, you know, be present. Don't leave them to their teachers. Don't leave them to their nannies. Don't leave them to aunties and uncles. Be there. Yeah.
And that's the truth. Because again, you are in the house with them, but you're not there.
Yeah, so many parents are like that. They are working morning till night every day. Weekends, they are not around.
Even the ones that are, I'm saying that the ones that are with you in their house.
On their phones. They are in other people's houses. Looking into other people's
lives. Or you're on TV and all of that.
Yeah.
We just need to find that moment. Because I remember we used to dance together. My papa is a dancer. You see this, my dancing that I have. My dad would dance together. We had fun memories, right? Very interesting. So I think we've had a fantastic conversation. Please, if you do not understand the impact of what an emotionally unbalanced child will become in the future, then it means you do not understand the gravity of what we're dealing with. So please, let's try as much as possible, have everyone around us, you know, start to be conscious about raising children that are balanced emotionally. Thank you so much, Manny.
Thank you.
All right, so before we go, thank you to everyone that sent in their messages and comments. God bless you. Before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at Wayshow Africa. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media, like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. If you can control your behavior when everything around you is out of control, you can model for your children a valuable lesson in patience and understanding, and snap an opportunity to shape up character. This is so powerful. We'll see you guys live on Monday at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Atiku Abubakar has won the People's Democratic Party presidential ticket. We'll discuss what was a day of speeches, intrigues, and horse trading. We'll also look at the chances of the PDP flag bearer against the top contenders from other political parties in the 2023 presidential election. And as usual, we have analysis of today's headlines from the pages of the national dailies and off the press. A very good morning to you. It's a beautiful Monday morning right here from Plus TV Africa studios on Victoria Island, Lagos. You're welcome. My name is Kofi Patel. It promises to be a very interesting conversation. We have a bumper package for you with interesting analysts lined up to give us their own expert opinion on the topics chosen. Let's start off with a look at what's been trending on social media and across the news spectrum with Nigerians talking about and sharing their views about these stories. Very interesting one. London to Lagos has been an interesting journey on Twitter and on YouTube. I've personally followed the journey of this Nigerian man, Kunle Adeyanju. Stumbled upon his tweets and I got hooked onto. You know, everyone loves a story. Everyone loves a story, and a good story at that. And this was a story. He set out as a member of the Rotary Club right here in Nigeria, in Ikoyi, Lagos. He set out on a charity drive, and if you have been following the Rotary Club and activities of this organization, they have a polio campaign, and he set up to raise funds for this polio campaign, and his way of raising funds was to embark on an adventurous journey from London to Lagos on a motorbike. From London to Lagos on a motorbike. He calls it the Eagle. You can see him when he's made his triumphant entry to Nigeria. He went through Europe, from London, took a ferry through the French Channel to France. From France, he made his way to Spain. From Spain, he made his way to Gibraltar, where he was able to cross over to Africa through the Strait of Gibraltar, and he landed in Morocco. From Morocco, he's made his way all the way to Mauritania. From Mauritania, he made his way down to countries like Burkina Faso. He was supposed to go to Cote d'Ivoire, had issues in getting into Cote d'Ivoire, had to go to Burkina Faso. From there, went to La Cote d'Ivoire. From La Cote d'Ivoire, he went into Ghana. From Ghana, he went to Togo, Benin Republic, and then to Nigeria. I'm not calling all the countries in the syncrasies. I guess I've left some out. But it was a journey. 39 whole days he spent on the road. I mean, went through the desert, the Sahara Desert, but through the safe parts. He had issues that are well documented, and he was lucky to have, escaped and made it to Nigeria. He had issues, and he had to pay his way out of certain situations, and he arrived in Nigeria alive. In these times of terrorism and banditry, especially when you talk about banditry, we're just getting used to this in Nigeria. But in the Sahara Desert, for those who've been traveling, trying to make it through the Sahara Desert to go to Europe, they will tell you that banditry has been a thing that has been there for decades, if not centuries. So these were the dangers that this man, Kunle Adeyanju, who is the president-elect of the Rotary Club, of a Rotary Club in Ikoyi, Lagos, he faced. And he has raised a good amount of money in this End Polio campaign. You can see him in different countries across Africa. In fact, most countries he got into, when he reached there, someone from the Rotary Club was there to welcome him, and that's how he started, one person. But the tweets, the journey on Twitter gained momentum to the point where not just the Rotarians were welcoming him in countries, but biker clubs were also welcoming him in countries. It was amazing to see that not just Nigerians, but Moroccans, Burkinabes, you have Ivorians, Ghanaians, Togolese, and they were keenly following this journey, and they welcomed him. And you had donations coming in. One of the things that was a side attraction was Kunle's penchant for, taking pictures with the women of Africa. In most countries he went into, he arrived in, he drove through, he took pictures with the women there. And Nigerians had to, look at the funny side to tell him not to do too much because he may not get home to Nigeria if he carries too many women. And some of the people in the countries he visited gave him challenges. Some said, oh, eat that local food and I would donate some money to you. Some said, oh, carry me, I'll donate some money to you. I think it was in Cote d'Ivoire, a lady said he should allow her to sit on his lap and feed him and she'll donate some money to him and to the End Polio campaign. Indeed, it was quite interesting. But there was one lady from La Cote d'Ivoire, and we're still following the story because it seemed like there's something going on between Kunle and that lady. She is from La Cote d'Ivoire. She is, I think, now in Nigeria to see him. And there's a suspicion that there may be a love story there. I don't know if Kunle is married, but maybe not. Let's see how that plays out. So it's been a wonderful, mind-blowing trip. Kunle had this 360 degree camera that he used to film himself while driving. He's a very good motorbiker and also very good on social media. Was able to keep people captivated with his journey and with his storytelling on social media. As a matter of fact, the CEO of Twitter had to commend Kunle for using the mobile, the microblogging site, the social media app Twitter to tell his story. When he got to Ghana, where you have the Twitter offices of West Africa, he met with the Twitter team there. And so they brought this to his attention. He had a tweet to say, hey, great that you used Twitter to tell your story. Very, very interesting. And he arrived, of course, on the Seme border, which is the border between Nigeria and Benin Republic, to a hero's welcome. A hero's welcome. And he took the 30-minute drive from Badagry on the coastal road between Lagos and Cotonou, and it was treated to a warm reception by bikers and people who followed the journey. Everybody is struggling for Kunle's attention and time, and he's going to have so many interviews. We are also calling on Kunle to come for an interview here. He was captured by immigration officers on the Nigerian border. Quite interesting. He's given us a peek into countries around Africa. He's given us a peek into how people live in different parts of Africa. And it's quite interesting to see. Zainab is the name of the pretty Ivorian lady who he met and who donated, I think it was about $1,000 if I'm not sure, but quite a substantial amount of money to the campaign. Zainab flew to Nigeria to be part of, the welcome party, and it's quite interesting what's going on between Zainab the Ivorian, whom he met on this trip, and Kunle. It's quite interesting. She gave $1,000, which is about 415,000 naira. She gave that money to the campaign. So we'll be following the story. Is Kunle and Zainab, in love? We don't know. But anyway, let's continue to follow this story and to see how it unfolds. Very interesting developments right there in Lagos. Let's move on. The officials, operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission were seen at the recently conducted People's Democratic Party presidential primaries. Initially, the pictures and videos, popped up on social media, showing them trying to gain access to the venue with their red EFCC vests. And we later saw videos of the EFCC operatives searching Ghana Must Go bags. This is what they were doing, searching Ghana Must Go bags, like you can see in the video in front of you. And the insinuation or the suspicion of not a few people is that they're trying to check if there's a vote buying at that particular occasion or event. It was quite interesting to see. But some people said, hey, you know what? This is not where you should have checked. You should have checked it before now. Some were saying, have you seen an FBI agent wearing the FBI jacket on an Adidas track pant? Criticizing the dressing of the official there. Some people said, oh, maybe this is a witch hunt by the federal government, which is led by the APC these days. And someone, on Instagram was quoted saying, I hope they will go to the APC primaries as well. So people are taking this with mixed feelings, but quite a number of people are not impressed by the EFCC. Some are saying, you know what, who are we deceiving? Who are we deceiving? So quite interesting to see. This is probably the first time that many people have seen the EFCC going to a party primary, checking Ghana must go bags. Quite interesting. One wonders what they were hoping to find at that event. All right, let's move on. And this is quite a very sad one. This is a very, very sad one. A church in Port Harcourt, which is my city, River State, had an event on Saturday, and at least 31 people are confirmed to have died at that event. It was a charity event organized by the King's Assembly, and a stampede took place at that event. Let's play a track, and when we come back, we'll talk some more about this.
They did not share anything. The sharing does not start. So people just, there are some people that have mentality that let me come first. So maybe I will be the one to enter first. What if I said, maybe I could find to my small daughter. What I said, come here. I said, come here. I saw some people start. They took me to hospital. They are looking for my rabbi. I went there. I don't start everywhere. I don't see it again.
It's been nice for us. This kind of thing that happened, I just look at it as a kind of a hunger that's in the country.
I'm looking for my daughter. One of your King's Assembly invites us to come. Because last year we came. When we are many here, so I cannot able to carry three of them. So I raised one up, actually here. I raised one here. But this one, the place is very tiny. And I lose this one. The other one, they was pushing her because that one is 11 years old. They was pushing her. So I don't know where she is. I mentioned her name, Divine. I can't.
So this is really sad, really unfortunate that people who went out to a program like this organized by a church simply meant to help the poor and needy in our society ended up losing their lives. And one life lost is really sad, even if it's one person. But 31, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. The church is a King's Assembly, and yesterday the church released a statement which I'd like to read here. It says, the King's Assembly is deeply saddened by the stampede incident that happened in the early hours before the commencement of our benevolence and outreach program called Shop for Free at Polo Club in Port Harcourt this Saturday, May 28, 2022. The purpose of this non-denominational event is to share with the less privileged the gifts provided by our members, friends, and partners. Unfortunately, lives were lost and several people sustained varying degrees of injuries. This statement put out on their Twitter handle and Facebook page as well went on to say, our medical team have been working with medical volunteers and the military hospital in Port Harcourt to provide emergency medical services to those affected in this incident. While the incident has been reported to the Nigerian police force, the church has commissioned a team of safety specialists to establish the immediate causes of the stampede to enable us to provide the authorities with all required information in compliance with public safety laws. It went on to say that the King's Assembly is a safety-focused, or rather safety-conscious organization, and will always take the safety of our congregation very seriously. Our Shop for Free program was started in 2014 as an annual benevolence outreach, and our choice of a large venue, the Port Harcourt Polo Club, was to accommodate the projected attendance. This year's turnout built up and the attendant circumstances were absolutely unanticipated. It says the crowd converged overnight, long before the security teams for the event took formation. We're reviewing our public safety protocol and advanced crowd management procedures to persistently ensure that our events are safe. Further details will be made available to the public, it says. But in the meantime, the church is rapidly tracing and engaging affected families while we encourage our members and friends to hold up the affected families in prayer. So put out an emergency number for those who would like to make inquiries. Now, I must make a full disclosure that I am a member of this church. Also, full disclosure that I've been a part of this event over the years. If I must be honest, the reason I worship in the King's Assembly is because they are thorough when it comes to safety and the welfare of their members. But it's unfortunate that this happened. Could the church have done better? Maybe. Could the church have planned better? Maybe. But it is quite also important to note that people arrived the venue of the church. And you have seen the entrance of the Polo Club, Port Harcourt, which is one of the largest venues in Port Harcourt that has been used for concerts involving the likes of Wizkid, Davido, Omah Lay, and so forth. So it's quite a large venue. And it seems from what we can gather that people arrived there the night before the event. So even before the organizers could even get themselves ready to allow people in, the stampede happened. Now, I spoke to a doctor who is a member of the church and who is also a member of the medical team. He was there overnight and he had to attend to some people, resuscitate some of those who died. And he told me Sikofi wasn't so pretty at all. But what he told me was that contrary to some of the insinuations on social media, that the event occurred at about 4:30 a.m. So you look at 4:30 a.m., it's quite clear that that will be before the police who were invited, maybe the military who were also invited, or any other organizations, security organizations who were invited could even set up formation. You know, how do we react to this? Lives are lost, they cannot be brought back, you know, and it's very painful. I personally followed the church service yesterday morning. Now, as I said, full disclosure, I'm a member of this church. I serve in this church. I've been there since 2012. And the reason I went there was because I went to a church program and the crowd control was poor. And I walked out of that church. I never went. And I walked down the road and I saw this church and I went in there. And that's how I became a member of this church. I monitored the service yesterday and it was really low key. They usually have 3 services, but yesterday was only 1 service and there was no message. The pastor didn't preach, he just gave a speech to the members and asked them to go home after that. So it's unfortunate. And I've monitored also the reaction on social media. A lot of Nigerians are so gutted, you know, and people blaming the church and saying that, you know, the church should be held accountable. But interestingly, many more people are sympathetic. It seems that the church, from what I've read, people believe that they are known for orderliness and they are known for being thorough. Lessons need to be learned. Lessons need to be learned. Churches need to take crowd control seriously. Now, I'm in a very difficult position here because I know that the church spent months painstakingly planning for this. I'm in a difficult position here because I know that the church decided to move this activity from their premises to a polo club just so that they could accommodate the crowd and attend to them in a safe manner. You know, I'm in a difficult position here because I've seen the reports and, you know, posts online where people said there was no medical team, there was no security team, the church used only bouncers, which is not true. So it's going to be difficult for me to talk about these things and also, you know, have people not suspect. Now, in the past, we've had churches be very careless when handling the crowds. You know, we've had churches focus on just what they want to do, which is the worship or the service, and not think about the crowd. So the church is saying that they have started an investigation. The police are also saying they've started an investigation to this. The governor of Rivers State has also said that they will thoroughly investigate this. In fact, the police spokesperson in Rivers State, Grace Iringe Koko, released a statement. She said that people gathered there and arrived there before the event was meant to start. The event was meant to start by 9 a.m. And it seems that a stampede took place before the security operatives invited could even take formation. And even before the volunteers from the church who didn't sleep there could arrive. 4:30 a.m. is pretty early. I mean, I saw pictures and videos of children, you know, of mothers, of women. It's really sad. Or sad to see. The governor of Rivers State is interested in this. The police are interested in this. The church is also investigating this as well. So let's see what comes out of it. Let's see what comes out of it. May the souls of those who have died rest in peace, and hope that the investigation will tell what really happened. I heard from a source who was also at the venue that the crowd was quite large, that they had to form a straight line from the Polo Club gate in Port Harcourt down to the Genesis Market Square Junction, which is quite a distance. If you were to walk that distance, you walk for maybe 15, 20 minutes to get to that point. That's how long it was. And I do not know what happened, that caused the straight line to scatter. We also told that at the time there were about 1,000 people who had already made it inside, one by one. It's sad. And hopefully the investigation would help us get to the bottom of this. Families are grieving. They've lost loved ones they never expected to die on that day. May their souls rest in peace, and our hearts go out to the families who've lost loved ones. That's the much you can take on the trending segment. We will return in a matter of seconds to look at the headlines from the national dailies. Stay with us.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamode Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamode Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa, and it's time to look at the newspapers this morning right here on the program. Our guest is standing by, and when we are done with going through those headlines, we'll introduce our guest and they'll get into the business of analyzing the headlines. All right, we start with the Leadership newspaper this morning. Interesting headlines from the Leadership newspaper. How Tambuwal's PDP presidential primary, how Tambuwal's withdrawal swung 182 Northwest votes for Atiku. I don't know how Wike supporters will feel reading this headline. How Tambuwal's withdrawal swung 182 Northwest votes for Atiku. Such a masterstroke. More from the paper. Okada riders invade FCT estate, burn houses over colleague's death. There we go again. Okada riders invade FCT estate, burn houses over colleague's death. How Supreme Court ruling crumbled Rivers panel indictment of Amechi. How Supreme Court ruling crumbled Rivers panel indictment of Amechi. Wheat flour substitution fails on low cassava demand supply gap. Wheat flour substitution fails on low cassava demand supply gap. EFCC arrests Yari over Accountant General's 48 billion naira probe. Flight with 22 passengers on board missing in Nepal. Terrorist attack, train attack, terrorists give fresh ultimatum. And finally, Obiano's wife, Odua Ekunife Una Ekelekwe, pick Senate tickets. Stories on the front page of leadership. Let's move next to The Nation this morning. The following headline is a big one there. Presidency, Buhari not part of plot to draft Jonathan into race. Presidency, Buhari not part of plot to draft Jonathan into race. Ex-president not qualified to be a standard bearer, says National Working Committee member. Guess that puts paid to President Jonathan's ambition, or talk of his ambition to be the next president. 8 children for release to train terrorists, respite for captives. Primaries, 42 senators won't return, number likely to rise. Methodist prelate, bishop kidnapped in Abia. Methodist prelate, bishop kidnapped in Abia. Jimo Ibrahim, Obiano's wife, Bagudu win Senate tickets. EFCC uncovers another 90 billion naira fraud against Accountant General. How Atiku struck last-minute deal with Tambuwal to win ticket. How Atiku struck last-minute deal with Tambuwal to win ticket. Lessons for APC from the PDP convention. Details on page 29. Pope names Nigerian Okpaleke, others cardinals. Suspect excretes 95 heroin pellets. And President signs 19 out of 131 bills passed by Senate in 3 years. Gunmen kill NPC chief. Some stories coming on the front page of The Nation. To the Punch, Atiku's candidacy, pro-zoning forces angry, slam PDP, Tambuwal. Pro-zoning forces angry, slam PDP, Tambuwal. Tambuwal's withdrawal, dubious. PDP's primary, inequitable. Pandev, others. Delegates' inducement with money forced Tambuwal to step down. Governor's aid. Okay, maybe some image laundering there. Banks tighten forex access as reserves hit 7-month low. EFCC arrests Iyari, alleges ex-governor got 22 billion naira largesse from Accountant General. Strike. We resume talks with federal government, says ASU and SANU. I don't know if Zenab will say yes to me, says Adeyanju, who rode motorcycle from London to Lagos. There's a video on the internet showing him asking for a hand in marriage. We don't know if that's serious or not, but the man has obviously come out to say he's interested in her. More from The Punch. Nigeria's internet population grows by 108.39%, now 80.68 million. Cabals benefiting from petrol imports, frustrating local refineries, that's according to IPMAN. And more from The Punch. INEC chairman visits Ekiti ahead of June 18 governorship poll. Port Harcourt stampede. Church mourns, traces victims' families, and the club shot. Talking about the Polo Club. Lagos Telecom's accountant commits suicide. Friend blames depression. And Can PFN fumes. Gunmen kidnap Methodist prelate, others in Abia. I know Archbishop, or the prelate, his eminence, Dr. Uche, fairly well, because I'm also Methodist by birth and by confirmation, and quite close to his daughter. Really, really worrying and sad news to read. Hope that he's released as quickly as possible to go back home to his family. Over to the Daily Independent. APC presidential primary. Tinubu's chances at risk over removal of statutory delegates. Party will be in trouble if he didn't emerge. It's coming from Swagger. Says he's the only one that can defeat Atiku convincingly. FG banks on beleaguered telcos to boost revenue. Buhari distanced himself from plot to draft Jonathan into presidential race. Atiku's PDP candidacy affront on us, Southern Middle Belt leaders. Atiku Ayu, Lamido Ihedioha pay thank you visit to Tambuwal. EFCC arrests Governor Iyari over alleged role in AGF's 80 billion naira scam. In 2023, why Southeast shouldn't be schemed out of presidential race by Umahi. We have also more stories from the Independent. PDP cancels governorship National Assembly primaries in Ebonyi, and wanted drug lord arrested in Ondo. These are stories coming on the front page of the national dailies today. Let's quickly welcome Bode Gbadebo, who is the online editor of the Leadership newspaper. Mr. Gbadebo, thank you very much for your time and good morning to you.
On the show. Good morning.
Thank you very much. We'll start with your newspaper, the Leadership. How Tambuwal's withdrawal swung 182 Northwest votes for Atiku. Just a brief one on that. Obviously, Wike and his supporters will be disappointed at this. Do you think that if Tambuwal had not withdrawn, Nyesom Wike probably would have emerged as the winner?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. You see, politics is the ability to negotiate and also win somebody towards yourself. But then, in the last contest we saw on Saturday, organized by the People's Democratic Party, you will believe, or you agree with me, rather, that Atiku, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, was the only aspirant with the requisite political sagacity, clout, and structure everywhere across this country to win that contest. So, regardless of any master stroke, whether Tambuwal withdrew from the race or not, or whether anybody dollarized the exercise or not, Atiku stood the chance to win, and he actually won.
All right. We'll move on from that. Of course, we'll have a look at that more in-depthly in our first conversation for the morning. There's a story at the top left corner of the front page of the Leadership talking about Okada riders embarking on carnage and destruction again, this time in the FCT, where the headline says Okada riders invade FCT estate, burn houses over colleague's death. It's sad if indeed their colleague died. We don't know what happened. I've not read that story. But Okada riders, again, should we be worried about this incident and what can be done to make sure that this group of people don't continue to be a danger to society?
Yeah, we should be worried. What is needed at this point in time is regulation. I may not totally, buy the idea of a total ban, because when you ban these people from earning a living, they will become, more dangerous menace to the society, like what Lagos is doing, and you can see the reaction trailing the Lagos State government decision. But what is important are these, Okada riding, well, is a menace, actually, but then, because of lack of gainful employment, you see young people taking to Okada riding to earn a living. But unfortunately, the larger part of these people are uneducated people. They don't have an interpersonal relationship with their passengers, with communities where they found themselves. So in this situation where we have found ourselves, and against the backdrop of what happened here in Abuja yesterday, I think what is important is urgent regulation. Anybody that wants to ride Okada should be known, should be registered by any agency that the government wants to create or that is existing already. And I can tell you, there will be peace. In case there is any infraction, anybody is violating the law, it's easy for us to trace the person, identify the person, prosecute the person. But in this case now, we don't know who and who. We don't know who is an Okada rider, we don't know who is not. Everybody is just, constituting a nuisance in the society. And now, if the Abuja incident yesterday is not actually punished, I can tell you this will continue, it will continue, because it has happened before, it will continue. What happened in Dede Market here 2 weeks ago was as a result of the same misunderstanding with Okada people. And goods worth millions of naira were destroyed at the Abuja timber market in a suburb called Dede here in Abuja. So what is important now is for government to actually quickly move in to regulate Okada riding. I want to tell you that it's a necessary evil, because a lot of people don't own personal cars, and you need something to take you to the front of your house. There are people who live in interior places. So it's a necessary evil. We have to live with it, but there is a need for urgent regulation.
All right. But let's stay with your paper. This headline, train attack, terrorists give fresh ultimatum. The story says that the terrorists who attacked the Abuja Kaduna train, killing 9 of the passengers and kidnapping over 60 others, have withdrawn their earlier threat, thankfully, to kill the remaining 62 passengers in captivity. And the media consultant to Sheikh Ahmed Gumi says that they've given the federal government a fresh 2-week ultimatum effective from today, Monday. That's what they're saying, to release their 8 children in government custody. That's 8 of the terrorist children in government custody. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, this kind of matter is a security matter. Government will never tell you what it is doing behind the scene to actually, overcome the challenge. But be it as it may, it is natural that the families of those in captivity will be worried, and they are always worried. I've spoken to a couple of them. They keep telling me the situation they found themselves. And the media consultant to popular Islamic cleric, Dr. Gumi, that was spoken to by terrorists, Malam Chukwu Mamu, is also a well-known person to me. He resides in Kaduna. I spoke with him too. He told me, I don't know whether I should say this, he told me that the government is not actually on top of the situation. And this is the problem. The government needs to be on top of the situation to rescue these people alive so that they will continue to have faith in government. But as we are now, as we speak, it seems we don't have a government in place. These people, they've tabled their demand. They say young people, their children, they even call them underage. They were arrested and they were taken to an orphanage home in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. So I think the question we should ask ourselves is, where were those kids arrested in the first place? And if they were suspected to be terrorists themselves, the government knows the right thing to do. But in this instance, I think the life of innocent Nigerians in the hands of those terrorists is worth more than the kids of these people. And it is important that the government come out to say, okay, we have your kid with us, take your kid and give us our people back. This is done everywhere around the world. Even advanced places like US do what we call a prisoner swap with non-terrorists. So I think the government should quickly do the needful before the terrorists will begin to do unpleasant things or untoward things.
All right. Sheikh Ahmed Gumi has not had a warm reception, in the Nigerian public, or from the Nigerian populace, especially in the southern part of the country. A lot of people view him as one of the, people sympathetic to bandits, with his previous attempts to interface between the country and the bandits. And now we're hearing these terrorists passing messages through his camp. That's Gumi's camp. Is Gumi part of the problem? Should he be picked up by the government to tell us more about what he knows about these and the location of these terrorists?
Gumi is never part of the problem. This person I've come in contact with since 2015. When you initiate something and that idea is misunderstood, there is nothing we will tell anybody. If the perception around the idea, is biased from inception, there is nothing you tell anybody. Now, Gumi himself is a Fulani man from Zamfara State. And when I met him a few months ago, I think sometime last year, when he started this peace initiative to Fulani camps, terrorist forests, and the rest of them, he told me that, he initiated that in order to separate the wheat from the chaff, in order for him to know who are the Fulanis suffering, unjust injustice from the Nigerian troops, and who are the criminals among them. But because of misperception, people thought he's aiding them and the rest of them. And let me tell you something. There was a visit he undertook to Niger State, a forest in Niger State, when students of a government secondary school, Kagara, in Niger State, were abducted. That visit, he was accompanied on that visit by policemen and Nigerian soldiers. So you can see, the government knows what he's doing. Gumi himself knows what he is doing. But I can tell you, to the best of my own knowledge, he is never the problem. What is the missing gap is that there was no understanding between him, the public, and the government to come together to understand the whole issue and see a way or how Gumi as a person can help to solve this challenge of banditry and insecurity in the northwestern part of the country. I believe he has the clout, he has the influence to actually talk to some person involved in this criminality. But because of misperception, misunderstanding of his initiative, the man hands off and say, okay, he's no longer interested, and see where we are today.
All right, we move on from the leadership newspaper now and look at stories coming in the Nation a newspaper. Presidency Buhari not part of the plot to draft Jonathan into race, and according to the paper, they are quoting a National Working Committee member of the party is saying that the former president is not qualified to be the standard bearer of the APC. Now, this is goes against the news that came out last week that said that despite Jonathan not submitting himself for any screening or for any form, personally picking up a form or submitting it, that since the group had picked a form for him, that he, along with others who had like Emefiele and addition of the AFDB head, that they will be screened by the party despite the fact that they probably refused the forms that were bought for them by members of the public. So this is now different. What are your thoughts on this? If indeed the chairman of the party had said all those whose name had been used to pick forms will be screened, and now an NWC member is saying that Jonathan is not part of the race. What do you think informs this U-turn?
Well, the statement by Asu Rock yesterday was very, very important in the sense that it will actually allay the fears of some of the major contestants in the ruling All Progressive Congress, like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, and the rest of them, who I can tell you they've been unsettled with the mention of Jonathan as the anointed candidate of President Muhammadu Buhari. But then the statement is coming late, just 1 week to their own convention. Their convention should be taking place maybe the other weekend, 6th and 7th of June. So this is coming rather late because this story started, emanated many weeks ago, that Jonathan will be flying the flag of APC and the rest of them. But I think it is good that the presidency came out to say, well, Jonathan, President Buhari is not part of the plot to drag Jonathan into APC and to make him the anointed candidate. Then secondly, before I came on this show, I saw a list on the social media that APC has released the list of 22 or 23 presidential aspirants to be screened as presidential aspirants of the party, and the name of former President Goodluck Jonathan is not part of the list. Then I don't know how Jonathan will be contesting without joining APC formally in the first place. No matter the waiver, you must first be registered as a member of the political party before you can enjoy the privileges members of the party, enjoy. So Jonathan has not, to the best of our knowledge, has not registered officially as a member of the APC, whether in Abuja, whether in Bayelsa or Abuja. So he has not done anything like that. So I don't see Jonathan as a member of the APC in the first place. Then secondly, they just concluded a PDP national convention. I don't know if you see a page on their program on the social media where the picture of Jonathan was, Jonathan was listed as one of the former president and member of the party. And that tells you again that Jonathan at no time formally quit the opposition major People's Democratic Party. So there is nothing like that. He didn't quit the party officially. So for them, he's still their member. And in APC, he's neither here nor there. He has not formally registered. So there is no way he can be a presidential aspirant.
All right. Some will say, Dr. Jonathan has not really been seen with the PDP in recent time, especially since he left office. He's not attended their meetings, and he basically just has been absent from the party. Whilst there are also suspicion that he supported the APC candidate for governor in that state. I'm talking about Lion. So I mean, should we take what the party is doing seriously by putting his face in the convention program?
Well, yes, he has stayed away from the party. He has been avoiding the party. And like you just rightly said now, in the last year election, was it last year, 2020 or 2021, a governorship election in Bayelsa State, he was seen openly supporting the then governorship candidate, David Leon. Now, that seemed like anti-party for the PDP, but then there are due processes. He never at any time officially, approach the party to say, I am no longer your member, as you have seen with other people, defecting from one party to the other. So there are due process, and that was why the PDP listed him as a member, a former president, on their program at the just concluded national convention, special national convention, where Atiku was elected as a presidential candidate. So for him, it's a dilemma. He does not belong to A, he does not belong to B. He's just hanging at the middle. And that's not too good for his presidential aspiration, if at all he knows anyone.
Okay, so probably he can join President Muhammadu Buhari in saying, I belong to nobody and I belong to everybody. All right, that may go down in history. But
so he should just remain a statesman. He's a statesman already, should remain a statesman, like former President Olusegun Obasanjo.
All right. Do you think probably this will come as a sigh of relief to the proponents of a southern presidency? Because, of course, Jonathan contested, even though there are legal questions around it. But if he managed to contest, it will be for only, to be president, it will be for only one term. Probably a sigh of relief for the South.
Well, that's one game that so many people, are projecting, and a lot of people are also against it, that, okay, why should you use Jonathan as a pawn in a political chess game? Why should you draft him to come to serve your own interest, your purpose, to just come spend 4 years and go back so that power will return to the North? Well, I don't believe in all those conspiracy, theories, because power as it is now, we all know, is served a la carte. It's served as a buffet. Power is never served a la carte. You can't sit down and get power. You have to stand up, look for power, grab power. So the gentleman agreement of a rotational presidency, you can see now, it may not work again from 2023. Atiku is the candidate of the PDP. So be it, is the candidate, and he stands the chance of winning the 2023 presidential election. He's a known person, he's a veteran politician, and the rest of it, he can win. And if he wins, it means power is staying back in the North. But which are part of the North? Northeastern part of the country, which people also say has never tasted the presidency like the Southeast. So for me, I don't believe in this rotational thing. What I'm always after is who has the capacity, who has the competence to actually take this country out of the wood. Like Atiku said, I like what he said, I want to unify the country. And that's one of our foundational problems for now. Disunity, there is no unity, and you can see the crisis all over the place. So as we speak, we don't need a southern president or northern president. We need a Nigerian president that will unify the country, that will take us out of the woods as we speak.
All right, interesting. We'll stick with the Nation newspaper this morning. EFCC uncovers another 90 billion naira fraud against the Accountant General. This is in addition to the initial 80 billion naira fraud that is being investigated. So if you add both, I think you have about 170 billion naira. Just a few lines from the paper and the article. It says that Idris, who was battling for bail last night, has opened up on some top government officials allegedly involved in some transactions. So it seems that he's exposing some of those who are his collaborators. Some of the papers covering the headline to include Governor Yari as being complicit in all of this. Your thoughts on this now? 80 billion.
Well,
yeah, please go.
Yes, I want to commend the EFCC. What the EFCC is doing of recent shows that no one is above the law in Nigeria. We used to see people being above the law, but in recent times, I think the narrative might have changed with the arrest of the Accountant General, the suspended Accountant General, Ahmed Idris. And maybe from what investigation they are conducting, they discover again that former Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yari has a case to answer. But that is not enough. I think there is a need for some reform in our electoral law and even the Constitution, as the case may be. For example, Yari just picked a senatorial ticket in Zamfara at the weekend. He will be representing, I think, Zamfara Central. He will be contesting for Zamfara Central senatorial seat in the 2023 general election. Now, if anybody has a question to answer, if anyone has been indicted, such person, even though people will say, no, that's not fair, an accused is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But in my own case, I want to believe if you are indicted, you should stay away from the political arena, from the electoral process, until all processes are concluded that you are either guilty or not guilty. Because as we speak, he's in detention now. I can tell you, before election, he might get bail. He will become a senator probably, and again, he will continue the case again as a senator. He might be going to court and be coming back. And all those things for me are disgraceful. A public officer of that standing should not be seen going to court and coming back, or going to detention and coming back. So, but then people will tell you, no, we don't do that. It's against fundamental human rights. If anyone is presumed is accused of anything, is presumed innocent until proven guilty. I remember in Abia State, a former governor won the election while in prison. He's no longer a governor again, but he won the election while in prison. Also, the new secretary of the APC, Senator Yola Omishore, also won a senatorial election in Osun State while in prison at that time. But thank God, the cases have been cleared. But I think the case is still on. You can imagine, the case is still on. He was a governor for 8 years. He has vacated office, and the case is still on. And the case started before he became the governor. You can imagine.
All right, interesting times indeed. This is probably one of the biggest swoops and probably biggest cases under Bawa, the EFCC head. What are your thoughts on the performance of Bawa as head of the EFCC since he came into that position?
Oh, you're talking about the EFCC chairman?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, Abdulrasheed Bawa. I think the young man has been doing a lot. He has been doing a lot. I just told you now that, I used to believe certain persons are above the law. But with the recent event, I want to tell you, yes, the narrative is changing, but not completely changing, because I know there are cases started way back in 2007, and those cases are they have no headway as we speak. You don't even know whether the people are still on trial or their cases have been concluded. Let me cite an example. Former governor of Jigawa State, who was governor from 1999 to 2007, Aminu Saminu Turaki, is on trial, but you don't know the status of that trial, whether he's still on trial or whether his case has been concluded. What we have been seeing is the manipulation of EFCC by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, because EFCC is under the presidency through the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice. And you can see, of course, that will hinder to a large extent the operation of the EFCC. We learned that the new chairman, a good man that he is, but he was nominated by the current Minister of Justice and Attorney General. Of course, he will give him directive on what to do and what not to do. We've been seeing a lot of reports about who to be put on trial and who not to be touched. That should not happen in the same clime, in the same society. But then, that's what we are seeing. But with what I've seen recently, I want to believe the narrative is changing, and it will be changed for good.
All right. Indeed, hoping the narrative will change, and it will change for good. A very worrying story on the front page of the Nation newspaper. The paper says that the prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, His Eminence Dr. Samuel Kalu Uche, and a bishop have been kidnapped in Abia State. This happening around in Umu Neochi, local government area of Abia State, at about 7 p.m. yesterday. The police confirmed the incident, which has thrown the church hierarchy into fear over the safety of their leader. It's once again, brought up the issue of insecurity in the southeast. Quite a number of the kidnapping incidents don't get reported in the press. I know a few of them that have not made it out to the newspapers. Your thoughts on this, Bode?
Well, I know the press, the Nigerian press is not a spirit.
Yes, I know. I'm just saying that all I'm saying is is a grave situation, even more than what we read about. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I think the insecurity in the southeast is something that needs a special attention. It's different from the kind of insecurity we have in other parts of the country. In the Northwest, for instance, you will hear people telling you, even security experts, telling you that the bandits that are terrorizing the Northwest are Fulani from other parts of the world. For example, they are Chadians, they are Nigerians, and the rest of them. But in the Southeast, it is very, very clear from the videos we have seen, from the report we have read, that it's an in-house thing. We have seen people speaking Igbo, killing people, killing same Igbo, and making videos. You understand? Very, very terrible thing. So I don't know what the federal government is doing, but then the federal government might also find itself in a fix as to how to confront the problem, in the sense that people will say, oh, whenever there is a problem in the Southeast, the crocodiles will be smiling, the python will be dancing. You know, these are military operations previously in the region. But when things are happening in the North, nothing like that. Well, it's a problem. It's a Nigerian problem.
So does the federal government, does the federal government stay back and say, okay, well, we will not guarantee the safety of Nigerians because people are saying these things?
And that is not, you know, that is not expecting of a government that is firm, decisive, you know, and without discrimination. So I think whatever it is, government should be on top of its game. This is Nigeria. We have a Nigerian president. And thank God you said something earlier. You reminded me something that the president said on May 29, 2015. I will be president for everybody and I will be president for nobody. You understand? So you should prove that statement in this instance. But what we have seen so far is a president who pay more attention, in my own estimation, to one issue than the other, which is not necessary. A Nigerian president is a Nigerian president. And this will further make people to be disenchanted. This will further make people to be saying we want to break away, we want Biafra, when there is no sense of belonging. So this insecurity in the Southeast is a peculiar one, and it should be confronted in such manner. And government should do something before this issue will go out of hand. Now look at the person that was kidnapped yesterday, the prelate of the Methodist Church. When I saw the story, I didn't believe it initially. I thought it was a fake news. The prelate of the Methodist Church. No. This is one thing taken too far. And I think our government should come out, all out, to actually confront this once and for all.
And of course, I'll join all people of goodwill, I'm sure including yourself, to call on those who have abducted Dr. Samuel Kalu Uche to please release him. Dr. Kalu Samuel Uche is a good person who is simply out there on humanitarian grounds as a man of God, a preacher, leading people, including those from the Southeast, on their journey of salvation. And, you know, of course, you have charity as part of the work of the church. And he's also a member, an indigene of the Southeast. So what point do you make when you kidnap such a person? Please let him go. But we would look at a few more stories before we say goodbye to you. Let's just take one more from the Punch newspaper. Of course, we have a Port Harcourt Stampede, church mourns, traces victims' families, club shot, talking about the Port Harcourt Polo Club. And this is in reference to the charity event that was meant to hold on Saturday in Port Harcourt called Shop for Free by the King's Assembly. Your thoughts on that, very quickly?
Well, it's very pathetic. That was an event that happened, a sad incident on Saturday in Port Harcourt. Well, I think we should be more conscious of our crowd control measures wherever we are organizing events that involve crowd. At times, you know, we don't care that some things, we are having a religious program and God is in control, so we should not do our own part. And I don't think that is good enough. I don't know what those people in Port Harcourt, what measures they took, arrangement they made for the program. But this has happened. I think we can only pray for the repose of the souls of the victims and also think out of the box and see how these incidents will not happen again anywhere. It is a sad incident, and we pray that the soul of the departed will rest in peace. Government should quickly do something to ameliorate the pains of the families of the victims first. Government should quickly move in. Government should not, say, oh, this was a private church matter. It does not. No. This is Nigeria. We have a government in place. Government should quickly, beyond issuing a statement to say, oh, we mourn the dead. No. Let's quickly move in to cushion the pains of the families of the victim and see how this will not occur again. These are very, very important in the circumstance.
Quite a staggering number of people who died. I mean, if it's one person, it's still a pain.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But 31, it's quite sad. You had mostly, children, mothers, elderly people who come out for this event. I say so because I've been part of it. But the police spokesperson in Lagos State is saying that people were there earlier than the event was meant to start at. I think it was meant to start at about 9 a.m. and they were there by 4:30 a.m. and that some of them got impatient and started rushing, which led to the stampede. But I would like us to look at this, and this is an interesting take by Al Jazeera's Fidelis Simba, who is in Abuja, and he's reminded us that there was an incident where, and I remember this one in Port Harcourt, where a non-governmental organization tried to give some free items, sort of palliative and donations to the poor. 8 people passed on and died. That's the Ink Nation, is what they call them. I remember that one very clearly. And also in the northern part of the country, in Borno State, an aid agency had a food program where they were trying to distribute food items, and that also saw 7 women trampled upon and trampled to death there. Why do you think when it comes to these charitable, activities and donations, like the food incident in the north, people die? Very, very shortly, please, because we're out of time.
Unfortunately, it is a manifestation of the failure of the government. The examples you cited, people were scrambling for food. Why should people scramble for food in the first place? Hunger. So why do we have hunger in place? Who should address hunger? The charity organizations are only doing their own bits to help. But in the course of helping, something unpleasant happened. But should they be scrambling for food in the first place? So you can see the whole thing boils down to governance, lack of good governance, hunger everywhere, lack of gainful employment. So a program that ought to take place by 8 people now, we're there by 4:30, 4 a.m., just because of hunger. Very, very unfortunate. And people in governmental positions should cover their face in shame, whether at Rivers level or at the federal level, beyond issuing a statement. Very, very unfortunate. It's a failure of government.
Thank you very much, Bodek Badebo, who is the online editor of the Leadership newspaper. Really a pleasure having you join us on the newspaper review segment right here on Plus TV. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, my pleasure.
All right, we'll take a break to look at what happened today in history, and when we return, we'll look at the emergence of Atiku Abubakar as presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Please stay with us.
Can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics,
It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
Now 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and listen to the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you.
Welcome back. Nigeria's former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has again emerged as the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Abubakar defeated 12 other candidates in a keenly contested presidential primary held at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja on Saturday. Now, of the 767 accredited ballots at the election, he polled a total of 371 votes, while his closest challenger, Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, came second with 237 votes. Nigeria's former Senate President Bukola Saraki scored 70 votes to come a distant third, while Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udomi Manuel, came fourth with 38 votes. Now, the only female in the race, Olivia Dinah, and another contestant, Sam Ohabunwa, scored 1 vote each. A former president of the Senate, Ayim Pius Ayim, scored 14 votes, while Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed scored 20 votes. Other contestants, including former Governor Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State and magazine publisher Dele Momodu, got no votes. That's 0 votes. A total of 12 votes from that primary were recorded as invalid. What are the chances of Atiku Abubakar ahead of the 2023 presidential elections? Look at that later. But let's analyze the primary itself. We would like to say good morning and welcome to our guest on the program this morning, Professor Chris Mustafa Nwokobia Jr. He is the convener of the Country First Movement. Prof, good morning to you.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to join you.
Were you surprised at what played out at the PDP primary at the velodrome of the Abuja National Stadium on Saturday?
No, I wasn't surprised. It was clear that it was going to happen that way, particularly when a few days before that event, former Governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, withdrew and resigned from the party. And then a few hours before, precisely on Friday or so, the other contestant, Alhaji Hayatuddin, withdrew from the race. And then we had quite a lot of information about, if you like, the dollarization of the process. And so when Governor Tambuwal, the governor of Sokoto State, withdrew from the race, it was very clear that it was going to be a race for the highest bidder.
Interesting. Do you think Peter Obi is now vindicated, having withdrawn from the PDP and pitched his tent with another party? Some have said, well, he saw the writing on the wall and knew he was not going to defeat and win that money contest.
No, I think that if we were to assess Peter Obi's decision dispassionately, he knew that what happened on Saturday to Sunday morning was going to be, like Shehu Sani described it, a major bidding process. And he knew that there were those with deep pockets who would outbid him. It was more of the highest bidder than about philosophy, about propaganda, about proposal, about policy, and about vision. You know, it's a tragedy of sorts, and that is why some of us are saying to the ruling party that they must show character by refusing to dollarize the process, by refusing to make it a bidding of sorts, and by giving it to competency, youth, and capacity, if you like.
Were you impressed by the speeches given by the contestants at that primary? We heard from the likes of Saraki, we heard from Wike, Tambuwal. Well, he didn't really necessarily give a speech, but to tell us what he was going to do. Yeah, were you impressed?
Without doubt, most of the candidates are good talkers. Without doubt, they were able to convey what they intend to do. But largely, what should count is the fact that we all know what was at the core of their politicking at the primaries. Remember that before the voting proper started, it was all over the social media and across very credible press that some candidates were doling as much as $20,000, some were doling as much as $15,000, some $10,000, and then it was just about the highest bidder. And I think that the time has come for us to interrogate our political process. If we must bet the Nigeria that we want, if we must cause the resetting, the refixing, and the reworking of Nigeria, we must deepen on policy enunciation, on manifesto delivery, on competency, on capacity, on passion and commitment to the common good. It shouldn't be about delegates gathering somewhere and voting for the highest bidder. We must repudiate it. We must lampoon it. We must ask our parties to do right, fight, and right.
Operators of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission were seen on social media videos entering the venue, the Velodrome at the Abuja National Stadium, the Moshood Abiola Stadium. And some videos even showed them stopping some passers-by, some members of the party who were carrying Ghana Must Go bags, asking them to open so they could inspect the contents of the Ghana Must Go bag. Has the EFCC, should they be doing anything about the financing of election and the dollarization of primaries in the various parties, and have they gone about it the right way?
In fact, in line with what you have just raised, or the question you just asked, is the fact that we're aware that morning, and through to the voting period, the team from the EFCC stormed the event and the venue because of the allegation regarding the dollarization, the monetization of the entire process. I am not saying, by this intervention, that only the PDP is guilty of such. But I am saying that the time has come for us to interrogate the process. And since the ruling party hasn't conducted its primaries, it must make competency, capacity, youth, and commitment to the common good, the common bottom. It must make commitment, the linchpin, in its decision to produce a candidate that will face the PDP in the 2023 general election. That's the way to go. We must begin to think about how we bet the Nigeria of our collective pains. And the monetization of the political process, the dollarization of primaries, and the process by which candidates emerge is not the way to go.
All right. What do we need to do to get to the point where party primaries are about ideas, about philosophies, ideologies, and agendas? We've watched party conventions and primaries of political parties across the world, and it's always a meeting of ideas. You get a sense of the ideology and the direction of the party and the things that matter to them in the speeches that are given. People look forward to these speeches, and stars are birthed, political stars are birthed, in some of these speeches, or through some of these speeches that are given at these primaries or conventions. What do we need to go? This is one of the biggest parties in Nigeria, and we couldn't get a sense of what the party wanted to do, their direction, their philosophy, and ideology. How can we get there? All right, we have lost our guests. We'll try and get back to Professor Chris Mustafa Nwokobia Jr., who's the convener of the Country First movement. Let's get back to the velodrome at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja and listen to what some of the contestants had to say. We start with Waziri Aminu Tambuwal, Governor of Sokoto State, who's contesting for that ticket for the second time, having done so for the first time in 2019. He was expected to give a speech telling the delegates what he intended to do if elected the flag bearer of the party, but instead he said, "What? I'm not interested anymore. I'm stepping down for Atiku Abubakar." Let's listen to Aminu Tambuwal.
I, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, having consulted widely throughout the length and breadth of this country, from the southeast to the south-south, to the southwest, to the north-central, northeast, and indeed northwest, consulted so many leaders and my supporters. Have come to the firm belief and conviction that as leaders, time may come in our sojourn to make sacrifice for the good of the people. And in view of the situation of our country and the need for us in our party to minimize rancor and jostling for power, in any case, it is not always about one individual. It must always be about our country. I have come to the conclusion that, to the glory of God Almighty, seeing and from the result of what I've seen throughout the country, millions of Nigerians suffering, and the need for us to close ranks in the party. And as one of the leaders of this party, I have come to a patriotic conclusion to step down my aspiration. And not only that, but I appeal to my supporters to take this in good stride and in the hands of national unity, patriotism, and not only that, those who are delegates here should vote for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Waziri Adamawa. PDP!
All right, interesting speech, and of course, Waziri Aminu Tambuwal, Governor of Sokoto State, stepping down from that contest. It was believed that Mr. Tambuwal also draw from the race, then tilted the race in favor of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Back with us is Chris Mustafa Nwokobia Jr. Professor Nwokobia, can you hear us, please?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Do you agree that Tambuwal's stepping down tilted the primary in favor of Atiku? We hear that he garnered quite a number of delegates' support, especially those from the southeastern part of the country. And also some people feel that if he had participated in that primary, that his participation would have divided the northern vote, and that was what helped Atiku, when he withdrew.
Your analysis is very correct. But let me say that by that decision, Tambuwal broke the heart of several millions of followers of his who are young people, who are desirous of seeing a new Nigeria where contemporary issues and debate denominate our politics, where policy articulation is profound and profuse, where young men who are agile young men and women who are agile, competent, and have the capacity to govern are allowed to emerge on our political stage. To withdraw for a 75-year-old Atiku Abubakar was a shot in the feet for his politics and all those who have consistently admired him. And when he has his decision, like you noted, it was some kind of northern solidarity. But I think that we must put country first in deciding to take certain political decisions. You know, by no means what he did swayed about 185 Northwest votes in favor of the Waziri of Adamawa, Atiku Abubakar. But for me, and so many people who care about our country, Atiku has done his bit in his politics. The time has come for us to try something new and different. The time has come for us to try youth. The time has come for us to try diversity. And I say advisedly that in the most halcyon periods of our nation, the best of our history, it was men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that governed this country. Both in the First Republic where we had civil rule and through the period of military rule. It was under the military that we had Abuja. Abuja was built by leaders who were less than 60. The First Republic, the oldest of them, was just about 60. What we need to refix, reposition, and find our country is about competency, capacity, and youth. We want people who can think on their toes. We want people who can walk hours on their feet. We want people who are in tandem with contemporary global reality. No matter how smart Atiku Abubakar is, Nigeria needs a man who can work night and day, who can sit with the best across the world to debate issues about economics, about job creation, about education, and about national security. So I lampoon with vehemence that decision of Alhaji Tambuwal.
All right, we'll look at the performance of Nyesom Wike in what was a keenly contested primary and a battle for the votes of the delegates of the PDP across the country. I think it's been a while since we saw such crisscrossing, campaigns around the country. Let's listen to what Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike said in his speech for about 3 minutes, and we'll be back with our guest for more analysis.
PDP! You are not doing it as if you want to take over power. PDP! Power! 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 Your Excellencies, our dear leaders, very important delegates today, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I have come to your states to speak to you. Today is for me to thank you. It's for me to thank you for the energy. Since morning, you have been here because of this party. Thank you, special delegates. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, I will speak to you on two issues. One is the party. Let me vow today, anybody who emerges here, I will support the person to the fullest. Anybody who emerges here today, I will support the person to the fullest. Because I'm a committed party person Because I love this party. Because since 1998, I've been in this party. I work for this party. I will not go anywhere. This is my party. Secondly, if I emerge today, every state that has a problem, it is my duty to make sure the party is united. We unite everybody to make sure we win this election 2023. You know, I didn't come here today to tell you about theory. What is the problem with Nigeria? Leadership. Leadership is the major problem with Nigeria. Therefore, PDP, you must not make mistake. You must have a courageous leader, a fearless leader, somebody who can withstand APC. And it is me. It is me. Please, please, my dear delegates, send me for this assignment. Let me go and win APC. I will win APC for the power to come back to PDP on behalf of Nigerians. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Interesting. Your thoughts on that speech, Mustafa Nwokobia? Hello, Prof. Are you there, sir?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, okay. Your thoughts on that speech?
What? You want my take on his speech?
Yes, yes.
Oh, Wike has always been a pro-PDP, a very loyal PDP leader. He has shown that in so many ways. But I think that his silence and quiet since he lost the primaries to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is suspect. Well, I am aware that people are reaching out to him. I'm aware that he, because of that speech, may be compelled to mend fences and work with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. But above all, I think that his pain will be located at the fact that PDP desperately wants to come back to power. And to use a candidate who is 75 years old, he will be 76, I guess, next year, for a challenge against the APC may not have been the best decision. I hope and pray that the APC will understand the urgency of now. I hope and pray that the APC will realize, like Mr. President said at some point, that if he were younger, he would have done better as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And don't forget that he became president about the age of 73. Atiku is older than the age at which President Buhari became president. So what we have before us is going to be a contestation largely of the old and the young order if the APC does the needful. What is before us is a contestation between old ideas and new ideas about vibrancy, competency, and youth, and the old order. And I believe that Nigerians largely, and that's perhaps the pain of Governor Wike, Nigerians largely will want to try something new. I believe that together as a people, we can interrogate the parties and interrogate leadership. I believe that we must make parties understand that whatever they do must be in tandem with the mood of the nation and the mood of the people. You cannot, as a nation, consistently tell the young people that they are leaders of tomorrow. And when the tomorrow comes, you return power to the old. The time has come for us as a nation to do a moral reawakening and chart a new course for our country. We must reset, refix, and redefine this nation. And that's perhaps the pain that Governor Wike has wherever he is.
Amongst the leading contenders for that ticket, you have the likes of Atiku Abubakar Saraki, and Wike. Of course, Tambuwal was a strong contender. But amongst those initial three I mentioned, Wike was the only one who had remained in the PDP all his political life. And he made a point to say that he has been a member of the PDP since 1998. Of course, Saraki was part of the NPDP that moved to the APC. And of course, Atiku, of course, had already been in the PDP. Do you think that the party has failed to reward loyalty?
Well, that's the language. That's the conjectures. That's the conclusion. But for me, the party shouldn't have judged Atiku harshly. The party wouldn't have judged Saraki harshly. For me, what I think is that the party should have weighed the mood of the nation and what the largest voter demography would have wanted. You are aware that women and the young people have over 70% of the voter population. And so if the PDP did what it did in that primaries without putting in consideration these fundamentals, then I'm afraid that the party is ready or unwittingly to lose the 2023 election. I hope and pray that the APC wouldn't work that way, because if it does, obviously you will have perhaps the third force emerge. Because I want to say without fear of equivocation that Nigerians are not ready to continue to try the same old setting. It must be about a new order, a new thinking, a new dispensation, and a new disposition in leadership. That's what Nigerians are asking for. Unfortunately, regarding Wike, the PDP, like you noted, appears not to have paid back his loyalty properly. But maybe he just might emerge as the vice presidential candidate. That's what we hear they're talking about. But for me, what is largely important is for us to redefine our politics, ensure that issues rather than money, ensure that competency and capacity rather than dollar becomes the basis, becomes the linchpin of our politics.
All right. Already pro-zoning voices have risen up to slam the result of this election. In the People's Democratic Party, you have leaders of thought and elder statesmen from 4 of the 6 geopolitical zones in the country under the aegis of the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum, comprising, the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, the Southwestern Bloc, and you also have the Middle Belt Forum as well. They have lampooned the PDP. Obviously, this is a kick, not a good kick for those who are saying the power must rotate to the south, and particularly the southeast, which the Southern Middle Belt Leaders Forum had already said in the past they support the rotation of the presidency to the southeast in particular.
I am not one of those who subscribe to. In one of your programs, I've said that repeatedly, that I do not subscribe to zoning, because we should not, in trying to solve today's problems, create more for tomorrow. And I say this advisedly. If your son were to become the best item after you were by providence made president of this country, they will tell your son that your dad has ruled, and so it has to be zoned to some other. And you don't, in trying to solve problems, deny people the right to contest. What is important is for you to make yourself sellable enough. It was in this country at some point that we had a Muslim ticket, and people died in defense of that ticket. I'm talking about Abiola Kingibe ticket. And so I think that the time has come for our countrymen and women to, instead of canvassing banal issues like zoning, we should talk about restructuring our country in a line for true fiscal federalism, a line for devolution of power, allowing states to control their police, and create requisite bodies to ensure that there is no abuse. I think that the time has come for us to model our federation like all other federalisms in the world.
You have less than 1 minute.
Hello, Professor Nwakobia. Can you hear us, please? All right. We seem to have an issue with that connection. We'll go back to the footage from the PDP presidential primaries right there at the velodrome of the Moshood Abiola Stadium, Abuja. Let's listen to Bukola Saraki, former governor of Kwara State and former president of the Nigerian Senate, give his speech.
PDP! PDP! Power to the people! Power to the youth! Power to the movement! Your Excellency, the chairman of our great party, leaders of this great party, distinguished delegates from the 774 local governments, let me join others to welcome you to our National Convention. Let me also commend the efforts of the Convention Committee led by my own boss, David Mark. Through him, let me commend all the members for this well-planned program. Distinguished delegates, we're here today at a defining moment in the history of our country. A defining moment because when we think about the events that is happening in our country today, for decades, we will say it had never could have happened. But today, we're here. We're here at a moment of decision. A moment that we must choose hope over hopelessness. A moment that we must choose peace and security over fear and terror. A moment that we must choose unity over disunity and exclusion. Distinguished delegates, as we stand here, we ask ourselves, what is our role? We are only 774 delegates, but the destiny of 200 million Nigerians is in your hands. It's in your hands, the destiny of 200 million Nigerians. And that is why it is so important that we get it right this evening. You ask yourself, how do we get it right? We get it right by the kind of candidate we elect today. We must elect a candidate that has the capacity. We must elect a candidate that knows the issues. We must elect a candidate that can unite this country. We must elect a candidate who from day one knows what he has to do. We must elect a candidate whose experience has shown that he can lead Nigeria forward. That responsible, distinguished delegates is what is before you tonight. I believe, and I know that I'm a candidate that ticks all those boxes. By my experience, I am somebody who has worked in the private sector, who has worked in the executive, and who has been head of legislative arm of government. Every office I have positioned myself in, I have left it better. Today, you need someone who knows about government, who knows about the legislative arm of government, and who knows about business. You need a Nigerian for all Nigerians. You need a Nigerian that will bridge the North and the South. You need a Nigerian that will build the young and the old. You need a Nigerian that will build Muslims and Christians together. You need a Nigerian that will unite all together. Distinguished delegates, as you step out this evening, look for that candidate that will change the direction of this country. Let us be that generation that begins to do things right in this country. And it can start from tonight by the type of candidate we elect. Let us elect Abubakar Bukola Saraki, who will lead this country, who will take this country to a brighter future. Distinguished delegates, I thank you for this honor.
to be here to speak to you. Let us, as I say, enough talk. Let us go and fix Nigeria. Let us start that fixing Nigeria by going out to vote. I thank you. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
All right, Bukola Saraki there. Professor Chris Mustafa Nwokobia Jr., can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. Before I come back to you, let's quickly listen to the speech of Atiku Abubakar, and we'll quickly analyze the chances of the party and also look at the chances of the man, Atiku, who is taking a shot at the presidency for the 5th time. All right. While we're trying to get that that sorted out, your thoughts on Atiku Abubakar? He's taking the shot at the presidency for the 5th time. This should be a record as far as Nigeria is concerned.
Let me say that the speech by Abubakar Bukola Saraki was the most electrifying of the night.
Oh, really?
He came to the primaries prepared. He articulated his position, raised the issues. And I feel, listening again to him, I feel like the PDP lost an opportunity of presenting an urbane and smart mobilizer as its candidate. In not voting him, they lost that opportunity. In not voting Wike, they lost the emotion and the passion of his age. But what do we say? We're not going to continue to dwell on it. Let me say that what is important is that even in his acceptance speech, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was able to capture some of the fundamental issues that border our country. But I will, in this discussion, challenge the All Progressive Congress to think about the urgency of now, to think about the preponderant passion and fervor of the young people and women for a new Nigeria, to think about putting before Nigerians a candidate that is congruent with contemporary realities, to put before Nigerians capacity, competency, and youth, with emphasis youth. Because the time has come for us to fold our sleeves and fold our pants, our shorts, our trousers in service of our country. We must understand that the time is, and now, for all those who truly believe in Nigeria, to work, to bet, and bet a new Nigeria. And that chance, the chance that the PDP blew or threw away, all other parties must take. Nigerians want youth and vivacity. Nigerians want competency and capacity. Nigerians want a new idea. We want a leader who's strong enough to challenge for our place in the new world.
You said, of course, you initially say you've talked about the fact that PDP had a chance to elect someone with youth and vibrancy and ideas. You've pointed a finger at, you've singled out Bukola Saraki. You've also said, of course, they lost out on the vibrancy of Nyesom Wike. Now, the PDP with Atiku at its head, if they end up winning the election, will still have these people in the administration, possibly. You've talked about the talk around town that Wike may be offered the running mate position or slot on this particular ticket. With all these people around Atiku, if he chooses to work with them, he's made a deal, he said to have made a deal with Tambuwal, we might see some movement in the direction of Wike. Bukola Saraki is in the picture a bit, and all these other people who came out to be part of this, this primary. With all these people in the fold of the PDP, Ayim Pius, Ayim and Co., is the party the right one to, as they say they want to do, rescue Nigeria from its current travails?
No, let me say largely that at first we'll applaud your proper analysis and an understanding of the issues. But I know that it just might be difficult for Ayim Pius Ayim to accept to run as the vice presidential candidate because of the threats from the southeast. And then it also might be difficult for Nyesom Wike to accept, but the party may prevail But what is largely important is that the PDP must understand that it has got its job well cut out for it. The party must wake up to the reality and the urgency of now. They must wake up to try as much as possible to connect with the people, connect with the women, connect with the aged and the young. They must convince Nigerians that with the 75-year-old Waziri Adamawa, they can work to rebuild Nigeria. I doubt, but they have a big job on their hands. I believe also that the media must interrogate effusively, profusely, profoundly, if you like, the candidates as they emerge. We must put them through the crucible and ensure that we give to Nigerians the best come 2023. We must understand that we cannot continue to run our country the same old way. New ideas and new thinking is what has changed nations, and that is what we must adopt going forward.
Prof, let's listen quickly to Atiku Abubakar. We'll take that video clip now of his speech at the primary, and when we return, we would round off.
Today, we are making another history. A history which we believe will bring about fundamental changes in governance and also in our political processes.
It is a win to redirect Nigeria, to rebuild Nigeria. It is a win to rescue Nigeria. And it is a win to change the narrative of our country. And for we, the young people particularly, we believe in the...
Finally, very brief, quickly, Professor, will Atiku be able to, galvanize, put together a strong team? We know his age and the fact that he's starting off older than Buhari was when Buhari started off. But does he have the character, the ideas, and the outlook to be able to put together a strong team of technocrats and a strong team of Nigerians who have the ideas and the drive that you're talking about to execute the rescue operation for Nigeria?
I doubt. But let me say also that he's a good manager of man. He may be able to get some young ideologues who will join him. But the point, like what obtained in 2014, 2015, when so many of us were behind the emergence of President Muhammad Buhari, we cannot forget or ignore the fact that our dear president has humbly accepted and admitted that if he were younger, he would do much better than he's doing today. So what we're saying is that the APC must not go the same route this time. Atiku is the PDP choosing to go the route of the APC in 2014, 2015. And the APC must go a different route by presenting youth, capacity, and competency to Nigerians. I doubt the competency and the capacity of Atiku Abubakar to reposition as any Nigeria. We need a leader in 2023 who can think on his feet, who can work long hours unaided, who can engage people and engage the world and world leaders with profound intelligence and competency. And that's the minimum that Nigerians expect come 2023.
All right.
I doubt if Atiku Abubakar has the cards to meet that reality.
All right. Thank you very much. Professor Chris Mustafa Wokobia Jr., convener of the Country First Movement, for your outstanding analysis. You're reaching us live from Abuja via a phone call. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you. And that's the size of a package right here on The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. On what has been a beautiful Monday morning. We still have fantastic programs coming up on this station. Keep watching. Up next, the news at 9. My name is Kofi Bartels. I return tomorrow. Good morning.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
Na 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 they pay.
Good morning, I'm Olamide Adeyemi. This is the news brief. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has approved the cancellation of all party primaries in Ebonyi State. This is contained in a statement issued by its National Publicity Secretary, Debo, on Sunday in Abuja. The statement said that the NWC made the cancellation after extensive consultation and review of all issues. According to the statement, the party charges all aspirants, critical stakeholders to remain calm, united and focused as it takes firm steps to rescue the nation. After a long wait, the former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, emerged the People's Democratic Party presidential candidate for the 2023 election. He won with a total vote of 371 votes. His close rival, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, polled 237, while his counterpart in Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, got 38 votes from delegates.
Today, we are making another history. A history which we believe will bring about fundamental changes in governance and also in our political processes.
It is a win to redirect Nigeria, to rebuild Nigeria. It is a win to rescue Nigeria. And it is a win to change the narrative of our country. And for we, the young people particularly, we believe in the man, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. We believe that this man is going to set Nigeria on course for greatness.
I'm very happy that he won this beautiful victory. It's a beautiful victory, and we are happy.
Now, presidential aspirant of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, has charged the presidential candidate of opposition People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, to base his campaign on issues. Former Vice President Abubakar emerged as PDP's presidential candidate on Saturday. Tinubu gave the charge on Sunday in Abuja to congratulate Abubakar on his victory at the PDP's primary election. He said Abubakar must be prepared to tell Nigerians how he plans to reverse his party renation of Nigeria's prospect during its 16-year governance between 1999 and 2015. Ahead of the 2023 general election, the immediate past Minister of State for Niger Delta, Tayo Alashuadura, has lost his bid to clinch the ticket of the All Progressive Congress for Ondo Central Senatorial District to Adeniyi Adegbomire. Alashuadura, who polled 88 votes, lost to Adeniyi, who scored 144 at the primary. During the primary, 4 other aspirants, who include Wumi Olatunji, got 2 votes. Tola Awoshika got 44 votes. Adeniro Yebade scored 0 votes, and Ileshola Akinpelomi had 45 votes.
This is to certify that Adeniyi Adegbomire son scored the highest votes of votes cast, thereby declare winner.
They have not lost. We are members of one big happy family. We have one objective, which is the success of the APC. And I have no doubt in my mind that they would come together with me to see that the APC is successful in general elections. So I have no doubt in my mind at all. I don't think there's any...
Journalists were prevented from covering the Ekiti North Senatorial District primary election of the All Progressive Congress. Security agents said they acted on the instruction of the head of Electoral Committee, Segun Dipe, who is the publicity secretary of the party APC in Ekiti State. When confronted, Dipe agreed to have issued the instruction without consultation with committee members, calling the bluff of journalists. At the end of the exercise, Cyril Fashion defeated the incumbent Senator Olubunmi Adetunbi, representing Ekiti North in the National Assembly, to clinch the ticket at the primary election held in Ifaki, Ekiti. Attempt by political thugs to disrupt the exercise was rebuffed by security operatives.
I am not sure that's part of the rules, because there's no elections that journalists are not always allowed to. So I don't think that's not part of the rules.
I, Segun Dipe, on behalf of the returning officers here, hereby pronounce Honorable Cyril Fashuyi as the winner of the primary election of All Progressive Congress in...
Other APC aspirants who claimed senatorial tickets are Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele representing Ekiti Central Senatorial District and Yemi Adaramodu for Ekiti South, both elected unopposed. Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele stressed that the honor of being returned unopposed will further propel him for effective and more rewarding representation for his people. 64 youth and widows have benefited from the Entrepreneurship and Skill Acquisition Initiative of the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association, NAWA, at the graduation ceremony of the beneficiaries in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. The coordinator of the initiative is aimed at training families of both civilian and military personnel to become self-reliant and productive.
Entrepreneurship Skills Acquisition Center, ISAC, was established in 2020 with the aim of reducing the plight of wives of fallen heroes and the youth after the backlash of insurgency. Since inception, the center has graduated 5 sets of trainees in various skills such as ICT, tailoring, barbing, knitting, bakery, production of sachet water, catering services, among others.
Accordingly, in our midst today, we have vibrant youths of the NAUA ESSAC who, after undergoing 3 months of rigorous training from our resourceful, versatile trainers, will be graduating today, the 27th of May, 2022. I can assure you that the graduating students are ready to meet the demands of the wider society through various skills acquired from this center.
I wish to also appreciate the Commander 23 Brigade, Brigadier General A.M. Garba, and his commanders for their support to NAUA. I assure you all of our commitment to provide a peaceful and purpose-filled atmosphere for the families in the barracks while you are engaged in the course of carrying out your military duties.
The brigade commander of 23 Brigade, Gibson Jallo, donates 5 desktop computers to the center to enhance IT training.
I want to make a token presentation of 5 flat-screen desktop computers to the 23 Brigade NAUA Skill Acquisition Center Computer Department. This is to aid and enhance IT training in the center.
One of the beneficiaries explodes in joy for the skills acquired.
I came here for skills acquisition and I learned a lot from computer department, and they impacted so many knowledge that which most of us have learned a lot. That I think everything we learned here is a very good thing.
The high point of the event is the distribution of relief materials to the widows.
Now, civil society organizations, CSOs, that converge on Benin City, the Edo State capital, have warned that the current model of divestment by international oil companies operating in the Niger Delta will cause local communities to lose economic power. The drew conclusion at a civil society roundtable on IOC divestment from the Niger Delta organized by the Environmental Rights Action Friends of the Earth Nigeria. Some of those that spoke at the convening included Friday Ogeraki, former Edo State House of Assembly member, and Prince Babs Pawuro, president of the Host Communities Network of Nigeria. Ogeraki described divestment by the IOCs as a strategy of using and dumping of the people of the oil-bearing communities and their environments, adding that the decision of the oil firms to leave the region without remediating for oil pollution was tantamount to sucking the juice from a fruit and leaving the chaff behind. In a similar vein, Pawuro noted that the joint venture agreement between the Nigerian government and the IOCs is better described as profit sharing without accountability and responsibility to the local communities. Earlier, RFON Executive Director Chima Williams said that the roundtable on divestment was a continuation of a process that they had commenced to interrogate the reasons the IOCs suddenly started the divestment process.
Nigerian state must cease forth the incentivization of the oil companies to divest from onshore and invest in deep offshore. If there should be an incentive for such investment, should be that there is already a guaranteed process of reclaiming our environment and restoring it to what it was before these divesting entities began operations.
We have always known that perhaps what drives the oil economy in Nigeria is profit. Profit, profit, and profit. Not the people. Not how the people will benefit from what ordinarily is God-given blessing.
No community problems, no government policy, there are no government agents. DPRO is not there. So when they get to the deep offshore, they just do business the way they want to do business. Anyhow, destroy the environment, destroy everything without anybody.
Meanwhile, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, says it has approved 2 herbal drugs to undergo clinical trials towards the treatment of COVID-19. A statement on Sunday by the agency resident media consultant, Mr. Olusayo Akintola, however, denounced the claim of approval of IHP Detox Tea for the treatment of COVID-19 patients. The agency alleged that a claim was made in March by the Chief Executive Officer of Bioresources Development and Conservative Program, Professor Maurice Iwo, on one of the dailies about the approval of Detox Tea. The statement quoted the Director General of the agency, Professor Moji Adeyeye, saying that only NAFDAC has the mandate to make any pronouncements on any regulated product that shows satisfactory scientific evidence. In a bid to checkmate the excessive of oil thieves and oil bunkers, as well as ensuring that critical national assets in the state are safe from economic saboteurs, the Anti-Vandal Squad of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Rivers State Command has uncovered a residential building that doubled as a dump site for the storage of locally illegally refined automotive gas oil. Rivers State Commandant Abu Tambawal, who was represented by the head of Anti-Vandal Squad, Deputy Commandant Joaquin Okafor, said following a sustained intelligence, it was discovered that a particular building along a notable university in Port Harcourt was being used as loading point. Okafor said the surveillance team of the Anti-Vandal Squad swung into action to effect the arrest of those carrying out the act.
Based on this sustained intelligence, the surveillance team of the Anti-Vandal Squad laid ambush for 3 days to monitor the events around the area in consonance with the provision of the Act of Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. I eventually ordered my men to advance into the compound, and we later confirm that the compound is being used as a loading point of this illegally refined automotive gas oil, popularly known as AGO.
Giving more details on the arrest, Deputy Commandant Okafor said the team also identified a local jetty nearby the scene of the crime where illegally refined AGO are being loaded for onward transmission to will-be buyers.
A black Lexus 330 saloon car with number plate Bayasa GBB 52EA, a Toyota Avalon gold color with registration number Livers FH 730 PHC, laden with some cellophane bags of illegally refined AGO, a boat engine, and several bags of AGO stored in cellophane bags scattered within the premises, as you can see. Let me use this opportunity to repeat to the general public that NSDC Rivers State Command will not relent in the fight against oil theft.
The head Anti-Vandal said the command will approach the court with the requisite jurisdiction to make necessary application for the forfeiture of the petroleum products, modes of conveyance, and the residential apartments, as this unscrupulous act contravenes the provision of the Miscellaneous Offences Act 2004. The governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, has imposed a 24-hour curfew in Yelwa Sakani, a suburb of the Bauchi metropolis, following an eruption of violence that claimed 2 lives. Houses were razed and many injured. The incident is coming barely 1 week after a crisis erupted in Katanga community in the Waji local government area of Bauchi State as a result of an alleged blasphemy by a lady. Over 100 motorcyclists have attacked Sim Global Estate in the local government area of Abuja to avenge the death of 2 colleagues. The incident happened after a motorist reportedly hit the Okada riders and ran into the estate for safety. The Okada riders set fire to 2 buildings in the estate. Residents of the estate told our correspondent that the motorcyclists attacked the estate in their bid to apprehend an unknown motorist. They noted that the motorist was chased by a mammoth crowd of motorcyclists after he overran 2 motorcyclists. In few days, commercial motorcycles, popularly called Okada, will no longer apply some restricted areas in the state. This is not the first time the Lagos state government has placed a ban on the activities of Okada riders, but its implementation has not been effective. Our correspondent Ngosika OHSC takes a look at the renewed order and its effectiveness.
In Lagos, commercial motorcycles, popularly called Okada, is an important means of transportation for residents. The reason is not far-fetched. The heavy and frustrating gridlock experience on most routes across the states. Over time, there have been complaints by commuters about the reckless attitudes of some riders, which has resulted in accidents leading to deaths and lifetime injuries. Some of these riders has been accused of aiding and abetting crimes due to their quick and easy movement, while some other disobey traffic lights. The Lagos state government in the past years has ruled out laws banning the ride in some areas of the state. In 2006, under the Bola Tinubu government, Okada riders were banned from operating between 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. In 2012, the Lagos state government under the Babatunde Fashola administration placed a total ban on Okada riders on the Ikeja axis of the state. Same thing in 2017 under the Akinwumi Ambode administration. The state government announced ban on Okada activities on major highways, bridges and roads. And under the Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration in 2020, the government banned Okada from plying 40 bridges and flyovers across the state. The ban seems not to have been able to get commercial bikers off restricted areas. Recently, a young man and father of two was killed and set ablaze by an Okada rider over a disagreement. This made citizens take to social media to call for the total ban of Okada riders in the state. No more Okada! Residents of Lekki Phase 1, where the incident occurred, staged a protest against Okada riding in the area.
Based on record, the immense gratitude of Lera to the indefinable governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, for throwing his full weight and that of the entire state towards protecting of lives and property of residents in Lagos State by imposing the ban on Okada in the local government of the state. The government has called for the ban for the 1st of June 2022. But we, the residents of Lekki Phase 1, cannot risk the lives of all residents and have the Okadas running free in our neighborhood.
In a recent order, the Lagos state renewed its ban on Okada business, which will take effect from the 1st of June.
All of the highways effective from the 1st of June. This is the first banning that we're going to be embarking on, so that others know that in a short while, either to get out or for something else to do. And from 1st of June, there are LCDs that are underneath them. We're going to publish them. We're going to list all of them. And so we're given the notice now.
Days to the effective date of the ban, commercial motorcyclists are having a field day in Ajah area of the state.
They can still allow them on their streets, but on the main road, they should ban them. They should just go.
I don't want Okada to be banned because they have helped a lot, actually. You know, in a situation whereby you want to go to a place and you need to be fast, you just enter a bike and go to the place rather than enter motorway because you have to wait till the thing full before you can move.
I don't think it should be banned because I actually use them for work in the morning when I go to work, and also in the evening when I go from work I use them. So if there's no bike, so what do I use as transport means?
That's the fastest means of transportation for the citizen, because once there is traffic and you have to get to work before 8, you have to try all possible means to meet up with the time, so they don't have to ban bike.
I will advise the government, let them try and bring people who are educated, like from secondary, and employ them. They will be sensible. But when you bring Jagabon Yoruba illiterate, Hausa illiterate, Igbo illiterate. They don't know anything. But when they are educated, they will be sensible to be doing rubbish.
About the express, I can stay with that with government. But the road that remain without no expressway, they can still apply. At least last time they give them to be closing. They can still apply other way apart from the express.
The riders appeal to the government to rethink the ban.
All of us will see here now, I don't want thief. Because this work where they see so, now they make to survive ourselves. First thing, because you come and say they don't want bike again, they affect all of, even a passenger where they enter bike, then they affect them. Because of everybody where they see now, they get their own family to feed. Government no provide another alternative for us. Gather day for this work where they see so. They don't see work to work. They don't see work for this country. But the thing where government is to say about the issue, say may provide another alternative for us before they ban us.
What they want us to do now, if they want to ban the Okada, I have family, I have 2 kids and wife, taking 3. I'm feeding them with this work that I'm doing. Okay, well, okay, if they say they will ban the Okada now, which work they want to provide for us?
Okada, now I tell they feed my family now. Somebody like me now, I have like 4 pikin, 2 girls, 2 boys. Now wait till I tell they pay them school fees. I don't get under work again. When you push me now, which work I do again? I don't get work. I don't serve thief. I don't serve do anything. Only Okada now they do now.
We see they apologize or we they beg the state government. Oh. I beg may they forgive us. Oh. Because we like this, some people they don't have any other thing doing in Lagos. And the Okada they pay them. Some people have family and they sponsor their family with bike. So we don't have anything. I beg. That's our only reason with us. So.
Okada ban in Lagos State has lingered for years without effect. The coming days will expose the effectiveness or otherwise of the government's ban order on Okada businesses from restricted areas. Ngazika, OHC, Plus TV News.
Outside Africa, 4 days of nationwide event to commemorate Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee will begin on Thursday, June 2nd. Elizabeth has been struggling with mobility issues, meaning most of her recent public engagements have had to be cancelled. But Buckingham Palace said she did plan to be at a number of events. Elizabeth became the Queen of United Kingdom and more than a dozen other realms, including Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, on the death of her father, King George VI, on February 6, 1952, while she was in Kenya on an international tour. That's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I'm Olamide Adeyemi. Many thanks for watching.